Cloudy, warm, and humid. Strong thunderstorm tonight, low 75. A shower thunderstorm early tomorrow morning, and an excessive heat watch, the high tomorrow, 98. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Fog in 74 at O'Hare, 71 Lakefront, 70 in Aurora. Next News 5:30 and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with Stephen Leahy. Every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. All right, so the city got one of the guys from Duck Dynasty to catch this mini gator, and now he's become a city
hero.
celebrity. Now he's just moved past Jim Belushi and the pantheon of Chicago celebrities.
I was thinking he could run for alderman or possibly mayor next time around. Yeah, the fanfare around this guy is unbelievable. Can you imagine? Just 3 days ago, he's doing what he does every day in Florida, and that's catch gators. And he gets a phone call saying, hey, we really need some help here. We need to bring in some muscle. We need to get this alligator.
Did you see? I didn't. For the first time, I saw the picture of the gator that was caught yesterday.
Well, they said he was 5'3", 30 to 40 pounds. He looked like just a little guy.
Yeah, you think of like a gator, like this movie Crawl I saw. You think of these like super sized gators. And it's this little gator that barely has his full complement of teeth.
Well, they taped his mouth shut, obviously. It didn't sound like that. It looked like he's like little baby eye teeth.
He's a baby.
Well,
anybody could have caught this guy. You just swim around in there and just grab
onto
him.
So the catch was at 1:30 a.m. Around this
please,
time.
if you're gonna do like the Chicago press corps painstaking minutia, then I'm going to leave.
Well,
it's absurd.
Well, he was exhausted. Frank Robb was exhausted,
Robb
as
Ford.
well as
may he rest in peace, Robb Ford.
as well as the alligator. They both were tired.
He was exhausted too, I'm sure. When it comes to alligators specifically, they got to be a bit of a team player. If they don't give you a little bit, then you're not going to ever catch one.
Have you seen a picture of Frank Robb? I mean, I mentioned the Duck Dynasty thing. Have you seen a picture of him?
What do you get? What? He's got a beard. He looks like a distant cousin from Duck Dynasty people. I mean, he's got the fuzzy beard and stands a little ramrod, but he's good at what he does, Dan.
In a related story, in 1986, a 20-year-old drove into a forest in rural Maine. He abandoned his car and, taking just some very basic camping supplies, simply walked in the woods. He didn't come out again for 27 years. Until he was called to catch a gator in Humboldt Park.
When we first saw him, he went down for a minute, then he vocalized, he popped back up in one cast, and it was a done deal.
But everyone was into this story. They even put, a little bow around the alligator to try and cuten him up, if you know what I mean. But everyone needed to be quiet. That's why they had to shut down parts of Humboldt Park so they could get the gator.
We needed quiet. We needed to have the place shut down for a while and let the animal relax so he would give us an opportunity.
Sure, you need those PGA marshals with the quiet please signs around the lagoon so Frank Robb can work.
And he's being, hailed a hero, especially by Animal Care and
Hero?
Control. No, here, listen, you have to hear this. This is Kelly, okay? Animal Care and Control. This is a big deal, guys.
We are just so proud of Chicago for coming together, for Chicago's care and concern. This is the city of big shoulders, but it's also the city of big hearts, and especially big hearts for animals.
Yeah? Oh, my God.
I know. She was practically in tears.
Would you agree with me, though, seriously, that this week's worth of coverage, including comments like that, are a total crock?
Oh, I see what you're saying. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. So here's the deal. While at this press conference, someone asked him, hey, Frank, Robb, what do you want to do while you're in town? Because your flight's not until, Thursday. And he said, I'd love to go to a Cub game. All right. So not only did he go to a Cub game, they gave him a Frank Robb Cubs jersey.
Yeah.
He sat in the second row.
Then he played right field for a few innings.
No, and he threw out the first pitch, which, by the way, he did get over the plate. And then he met Billy William and all these stars that were shaking his hand through the netting like he was some hero. But, quite a tale to tale, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't
About
know
his
what you
time
mean.
here. Well, I mean,
Quite the tale of it.
Alligator tail to tell.
I don't, yeah.
Oh.
We're going to need to fire
everybody.
Amy's writers. We got to, we need new material. over
So
there.
the bottom line is, what's next for Chance the Snapper? Because I know that you care. There is a place in Aurora that he might go to.
I mean, it's just insane. WBBM, you told me this. WBBM carried the press conference live.
Yeah, they carried parts of it live with a Q&A, and I was wondering, what's going on? Oh, this is a big deal.
We caught this miniature gator. Any
you talk about
questions? Not really.
Alligator arms. I mean, he really had alligator arms. Hey-o!
Seriously. Those writers?
You
Whew.
guys are
It
so-
sounds like what Frank Robb was hearing when he was out at that lagoon in Humboldt Park.
Stop it. So they don't know for sure, unless Mike Scott can add to this.
Yeah.
Where the gator? What's next for Chance the Snapper? Does anybody know? Because they were thinking of a place in Aurora,
I think
but there's already
Prada
two
called,
gators.
didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, what's next for Chance the Snapper? Somebody said alligator
handbag.
shoes or a handbag.
Handbag.
Oh yeah, everybody's funny
Yeah.
about the little gator.
Dolce and Gabbana needs some
They have.
property.
I had gator soup for the first time at Calusa Pines when I was down in Naples the last time.
Yeah.
It's really good.
You're so
Gator sausage is okay.
I haven't had gator sausage.
Had it at the Taste of Chicago. They had
that's right.
one of the vendors had it a dozen years ago or so.
Chance the Snapper gator sausage kiosk at Taste of Chicago could be an annual tradition. Remembering Chance the Snapper.
It's not over for Frank Robb. This just in, the gator catcher. This morning, he's going to be turning on Buckingham Fountain, and he'll take questions from the media.
Do you get the sense that it's nice press avail, Frank Robb?
Wow.
My question for Frank Robb,
What is going on? What's wrong with you people?
what else do you capture and put in cages, Frank?
Oh, he has a whole YouTube channel of his resume was captures of alligators, much larger ones than this one. But he used like a 5-hook prong to get this one. Grabbed him in.
But anything else besides four-legged creatures?
What do you mean? Where are you going with this line of questioning, Dan?
Frank, we have some unsolved missing persons cases that we'd like to ask you about.
You know what?
They might be hiding in his beard.
With his manifesto.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Congratulations to Frank Robb,
Yeah.
our new candidate for mayor.
I think I just sense that Frank Robb, small doses with Frank, this is a lot of exposure for somebody that otherwise lives alone in the darkness. Tony on the south side.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, Amy, I hope your child is doing well.
Yep, all
hey,
good.
Listen. Yeah, when Pritzker found out, J.B. Flintstone down in Springfield found out that there's an alligator in the lagoon. He wanted to know if he could tax that thing. That's all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tony.
And if you want to get a hold of Frank Robb for appearances, maybe
sure,
some public
he's doing
speaking
weddings and bar mitzvahs now.
He owns Crocodilian Specialist Services in Florida, and you can go to his YouTube channel and see.
Yeah.
He must, though, be wondering, what in God's name is wrong with these people? He does this on a daily basis.
That's what everybody
And he's throwing
comes
out the first pitch, and now he's turning on Buckingham Fountain. I want to be Rob.
It's the same thing that everybody who comes to Chicago asks.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, if you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, then dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, and your dental health. Hey, Sean Hannity here. So what are you waiting for? Find out now if implants are for you. Successful implants don't come from an implant factory. Skill, treatment, installation, those are the main differences for successful lifelong implants. That's why you need to see Dr. Neruzzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Neruzzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants themselves. You need the experience, the skill, and honesty that over 25 years of dental implants brings, and you're going to be happy with your implant. It's not a mass production procedure because everyone is different. And Dr. Neruzzi wants to talk to you about dental implants today.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics at 630-232-7400. They're online at implantsforme.com.
And just to wrap this up, I'm sorry. The alligator is currently at animal care and control until they can determine where he'll go next. And it is a he, by the way.
Well, Frank Robb isn't going to be with us much longer. He just got the bat signal. He's got to get out to Yankee Stadium where they were hit with 25,000 bees yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a job for Frank Robb, pet wrangler.
Hey, does your basement or crawl space smell like, well, a basement? Musty and odor-ridden? Did you know the natural airflow in your home originates below ground and works its way up into your living environment? You and your family are breathing that unhealthy air even when you are upstairs. So that's why you should give our friends at Permaseal a call today, 800-421-SEAL, SEAL, to schedule a free inspection with one of their certified consultants. They'll conduct a thorough inspection of your basement and crawl space and provide you with proven solutions that will help prevent mold, spores, and allergens from affecting your family. For the past 40 years, over 400,000 Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana homeowners have trusted Permaseal to provide permanent solutions to their musty basement or crawl space. And that's how they've earned the A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. Stop breathing that unhealthy air. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
You make a million tough business decisions every day. So here's the easiest one of the year. Dell's Cyber Monday in July is back and bigger than ever. Get no-brainer deals on the very latest computers with Intel Core processors and a huge selection of servers, electronics, and more. All with free shipping on everything. To make your decision even easier, Dell's Small Business Technology Advisors can help you find just the right tech. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's an easy call to make at 877-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusiness.
Summer is here, and Matt's got the barbecue out all ready to grill. That's why he trusts Super Poly Grip, so he can enjoy his steak with full confidence. Poly Grip. Sounds like there's a party going on, but something's missing. The birthday gal's arrived, and thanks to Polydent, her bright smile is anything but a surprise. Polydent.
Your kids won't be thinking about school very much this summer, but it's the perfect time for you to think about where you'll be sending your child back to school this fall. More and more parents are thinking about private school. Maybe that's you. Well, private school has never been more affordable thanks to halfpriceschools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across Chicagoland available at half of the normal price. No catch. It's easy. Find a school near you. Purchase the voucher. Prepare to send your child off to school this fall. halfpriceschools.com has schools located across the region. Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, Covenant Christian in Aurora, Trinity Lutheran in Lombard, Westminster Christian in Elgin, Kingswood Academy in Darien, Calvin Christian in South Holland, and Faith Evangelical Lutheran in Antioch, to name a few. So don't delay. Summer won't last forever, and school will be starting again before you know it. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. Again, many of these vouchers have already sold out, so do not wait. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, from talk of gators to talk of snakes, I'm talking about the beer cup snakes at Wrigley.
The beer cup snakes?
Yeah, the beer cup snakes at Wrigley.
What's
This is, the beer cup snakes. You know how guys pile up all the beers they drink, and then they drink from the top one, and they're snaking them around.
Yeah,
and
my friend did that
bleachers.
with 95.
Mm-hmm.
95, it was a hot summer day back in, God, I think, remember the last heat wave we had? He sat in the bleachers and thought that was a good idea. Then he had to go to the hospital.
You have
95.
You have a fascinating friend circle.
Yes. Well, how many have you done? Oh, you've probably never.
Yeah,
No.
right. I didn't
I
join a
don't do that
fraternity.
either.
I don't do beer snakes. But it's the issue is the ushers are snapping them away from patrons, and it's become quite contentious. Barstool Sports started putting out T-shirts. Well, they came up with a T-shirt for it. Come and get it, and it's in reference to the beer snakes. They got a cease and desist letter from the Cubs. And so now this has become like a whole thing. And Eddie Barstool has taken up this cause in great detail. He lays out the case. That's an example of the color you get in the bleachers. We'll have to get to Eddie Barstool, but a Wrigley Field security guard who has the pseudonym Lickma Ballsack
See, I don't
was fired by the.
if you could say that.
He posts on Barstool.com. This is his handle.
Okay.
Ligma Ballsack.
Ligma Ballsack.
Ligma Ballsack.
Let's say it like that. Okay.
Well, that's what I said.
All right. Well,
he was fired for the Cubs for going on to the Barstool Chicago's Dog Walk podcast and taking people behind the scenes of the Snake Cup controversy.
do you have a picture over there?
Of Ligma Ballsack, or of the beer cup snakes?
Beer cup snakes.
Beer
cup snakes.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah. You work on that. So, this is real contention, and Barstool Sports has been ratcheting up their antagonism toward the Cubs, generally speaking. This open letter to the Chicago Cubs. Did you read this?
Oh, I like that T-shirt. Come and take it.
Yeah, right. Well, that's
a stack of cups. Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's the cease and desist. Well, this open letter to the Chicago Cubs really takes them to task. I guess we don't really have time. We'll have to get to that later on with more color from Ligma Ballsack and Eddie from Barstool Sports and the whole cast of characters.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Trump triples down on his tweeting and commentary with respect to the Socialist Spice Girls at 5:38.
And later, another edition of Why Dan Proft is Single. What to do when Wisconsin's Dairy Queen turned murderer gets out of prison. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Some fog this morning, 73. Crews are battling an apartment fire burning this morning in Crystal Lake. Blaze began early in the 500 block of Devonshire Lane. There were evacuations, no word of injuries. A woman is dead following a house fire in Aurora Township. The blaze broke out yesterday morning in the home in the 1100 block of South State Street. Chicago police are investigating after a deadly hit-and-run crash on the west side. Officers were called out early this morning to a report of a person lying in the street in the 800 block of South Central Avenue. That man appeared to have been hit by a vehicle and was found unresponsive. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the president is not a racist. Talking with reporters at the Capitol yesterday, McConnell, after Democrats voted to call those tweets by the president language that is unbecoming, says it's time to lower the temperature and elevate the political discourse.
The most vile accusations and insults against our nation have become incredibly routine, and we've seen back and forth over the past few days.
Talking about the ongoing dispute between the president and four minority Democrats, McConnell noting that politics is a contact sport, but both sides need to step away and calm down. There may be a 2020 Republican challenger to President Trump. Former South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford says he may take the next month to decide if he wants to run for president as a Republican, running on America's mounting debt. Almost 24 accused MS-13 gang members are under arrest on claims they were responsible for 24 murders.
Crimes alleged in this indictment are breathtaking in the amount of violence used against rival gang members who were beaten or killed for falling out of line or for cooperating with law enforcement.
FBI Assistant Director Paul Delacourt says the suspects are all part of the North Hollywood faction of MS-13. Former U.S. Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens has passed away. Linda Greenhouse is with the Yale Law School.
His career on the court is a reminder of the way things used to be, that somebody like him could be appointed by a Republican president without any particular ideological overhang.
The third longest serving member in the High Court's history died from complications of a stroke he suffered earlier on Tuesday. He was 99. We're bracing for some dangerously hot weather later this week with heat index values approaching 110. And St. Louis Blues center Robbie Fabry served spaghetti yesterday with the side of the Stanley Cup. The NHL champion had his day with the cup and put it to good use at a family cookout. He straight up served noodles inside the trophy. It went down in Mississauga, Ontario, where the Blues center took the Blues' newest award out for a spin, bringing it to his old high school and then taking it home to Mom and Dad's for lunch. Kyle Schwarber's walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th gave the Cubs a 4-3 win over the Reds. Royals drubbed the White Sox 11-0. 5:34 is our time, and we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Gas prices in Illinois have gone up. Way up.
Fill her up.
Thanks to Governor Pritzker and our lawmakers in Springfield. You're probably feeling some pain at the pump. Well, AM 560 and Croggy's Mobile Service Center in Addison want to ease your pain by giving you a $50 gas card. That's right, $50 to fill up your tank at any Exxon Mobil station. To enter for your chance to win, go to 560theanswer.com/gas.
Are you a company looking to grow your manufacturing team and hire new, exceptional candidates? Turn to Monarch Technical Services, leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. Monarch will recruit top talent for your company by verifying skill sets using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Their vetting process is the most unique in the industry due to having a former plant manager as their quality skills assessor. He knows who's who since he was involved in the day-to-day programming and operation of CNC equipment, along with managing the manufacturing process. Monarch takes pride in every candidate they represent. Their quality and customer service are the best in Chicagoland. If you're a business growing your manufacturing team and searching for exceptional candidates, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221 or visit them online at monarchtechnical.com. And if you're interested in starting a career in manufacturing or have experience, call 847-342-1221 or visit monarchtechnical.com.
Townstone Financial is synonymous with great rates, low closing costs, and phenomenal service to the thousands who have completed purchases and refinances with us since 2002. Hi, my name is Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
I'm Christopher Nowak, a real estate agent with Castline Properties here in Chicago. When a buyer contacts me with questions about the loan process, what type of loan products are available, it's easy for me to put that buyer in touch with Townstone Financial and specifically Zach Schwartz, Barry Sterner, the whole team over there at Townstone. I have confidence that the team at Townstone is going to make me look good. The result at the end of the experience is that the customer is always happy with the service they receive.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110, or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender.
5:37. Let's get an update on the morning roads. AM 560 traffic center time. Here's Jim Talamonte.
We have a few major traffic issues this morning in Crystal Lake. Crews continue to battle a multi-alarm fire. Residents, the 500 block Devonshire, not too far from Northwest Highway in Crystal Lake. West side of Chicago Central is blocked between the Eisenhower and Harrison for investigation of a fatal hit-and-run crash. Schiller Park has crash just reported on Lawrence at Ruby. Expressway traffic is fairly light. We're seeing delays on the Stevenson now, central to Pulaski and Ashland to the Ryan. Looking at 3 or 4 minutes worth of delays in that stretch. And on Ryan, traffic is tight. Cermak to the Burns Circle, about a 2 or 3 minute delay there. Ford, about a 2 or 3 minute delay from Stony Island feeder to the merge. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, fog this morning, humid and warmer, clouds and sunshine. High 91, currently 74. Next news coming up at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Experience the many restaurants of Seven Bridges on the evening of August 8th at the Golf Club in Woodridge, Illinois. Aside from great tastings and treats, Sample Seven Bridges will have prize drawings and DJ entertainment throughout the evening. Visit chambers630.com to register.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. If you're getting sick of obsessing about race, but it's just going to be part of the debate that is demanded in this presidential cycle. And as long as this president is in the White House, Donald Trump, yesterday at a cabinet meeting, taking questions from reporters. What do you think came up?
I don't know. Maybe about his tweeting.
His tweeting.
Are you a racist?
And whether or not he still thinks that the four
go
congresswomen should leave if they don't like America, and so on and so forth.
Mr. Trump, have you been willing to not use the phrase "go back to your country" to citizens and women of color who are either citizens or have been born in this country? Would you be willing to not use that?
I think it's terrible when people speak so badly about our country, when people speak so horribly. I have a list of things here. I'm not going to bore you with it because you would be bored. You wouldn't write it anyway. But I have a list of things here said by the congresswomen that is so bad, so horrible, that I almost don't want to read it. It's so bad. I think what you do is you have the same list that I do. You should repeat some of that. When the Democrats didn't want to mention the name of the congresswoman, not so long ago, and what they did and the way they're treating Israel is a disgrace. But not only Israel, it's what they say about our country. It's my opinion they hate our country. And that's not good. It's not acceptable. Thank you very much, everybody.
Should he even have dressed
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Should he even have answered that question? I mean, how can he move on from this topic? I don't think this...
Should he move on? Or should he stay right here? That's the question.
Well, what do you think? Should he, excuse me, stay right here, keep this going? And last night they had the vote on the House floor, 4 Republicans, 1 independent, joined the Democrats in, issuing the censure.
Yeah, and backing this Cross of Gold speech from Nancy Pelosi.
These comments from the White House are disgraceful and disgusting, and these comments are racist. How shameful to hear him continue to defend those offensive words that we have all heard him repeat, not only about our members, but about countless others. Our caucus will continue to forcefully respond to those attacks on our members, which reflect a fundamental disrespect for the beautiful diversity of America. There is no place anywhere for the president's words.
And then Congressman, from Georgia, Collins, was upset because Nancy broke the House rules with a personal attack.
I request that the gentlewoman's words are unparliamentary and request that they be taken down.
He wants them taken down.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's Doug Collins. So the question with respect to Trump and Pelosi and the Socialist Spice Girls on CBS this morning continuing to prosecute their case, Trump responding to the D.C. press corps, continuing to prosecute his case. Is this in the best interest of Trump? Maybe it's in the best interest of the Socialist Spice Girls. Maybe it's not in the best interest of the Democrat Party and their electoral chances in 2020. And maybe it's in the best political interest of Trump. I mean, because it seems to me the ironic thing of the obsessing over Trump's go back comments is that he doesn't want them to go anywhere. He wants the Socialist Spice Girls on CBS this morning. Amplify them. Keep a microphone in front of their, in front of all of them. Have them travel in a pack like they have been, both at press conferences and now national televised interviews, this one with Gayle King. Have them be the defining voices of the Democrat Socialist Party.
And people want to join the squad. including our very own Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Well, it's really unfortunate, and it shows a level of ignorance that the president has exhibited on other occasions. It speaks to a pattern that the president has shown of really belittling women in general, but particularly women of color. And I'm glad that there has been a significant pushback, as well there should be.
Yeah, good. Right. That's what I said. Keep the Socialist Spice Girls front and center. You think, oh, he's driving Pelosi back to them and them back to her because of this resolution of condemnation and because of Pelosi's blathering on about protecting like their children, protecting members of the caucus. You think that's going to keep them together? What happens when we get back to demands for the GND and the elimination of private health insurance and more explicit calls for open borders, the abolition of DHS, at minimum, ICE and Customs and Border Patrol? You think that that's going to stick together? I don't know. I've said before, I'll say again, I thought Harris Faulkner and Lindsey Graham and others were right. Trump should aim higher. He didn't need to use that charged trope that he used. But and I don't believe in the ends justifying the means. I'm just describing what I think is happening. His inartful elevation of the Socialist Spice Girls is going to redound to his political benefit and the benefit of Republicans, because I hate to break it to you, I don't care if they're women of color or not. I could care less about their heritage, but I'm listening very closely to what they say and what they want to do, and they are so over the edge with respect to where the American electorate is. Like, I'm not talking about the middle 10%. I'm talking about the top 85%. They are so far afield that a toothy grin isn't going to save them and isn't going to bring the votes. So, inartful, you can call it racist. I don't think Trump is a racist. I think he is inartful. I think he sometimes probably doesn't fully appreciate. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get into his mind, but just in terms of his command of, I don't know, history, he probably doesn't always appreciate the historical implications of some of the word choices he makes. Maybe he does, and it's even more cynical than I'm suggesting.
Or does he know exactly what he's doing and he's feeding his base?
Well,
by saying go back to where you came from?
No, it's about elevating them. What feeds his base, this is how the DC press corps is totally wrong. What feeds his base is not racially charged rhetoric. In point of fact, Jason Riley makes this point in his Wall Street Journal op-ed about the race card has gone bust. One problem is Donald Trump has adopted the kind of identity politics we usually associate with Democrats. I agree with that. I think that's a very keen insight, as Jason Riley is oft to give. That's he uses identity politics against them, of all things. I loathe identity politics no matter who the practitioner is. But it's not feeding the base to use go back. It's feeding the base. The end result is what feeds the base. To hear more from Omar and Presley and AOC and Tlaib. Just a reminder what Ayanna Presley, who's probably has the least profile of the four Socialist Spice Girls, here's what she said at the Netroots conference this weekend, that Daily Cause left-wing online activists annual convention. Listen to Ayanna Presley talking about race.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up. Because we need you to represent that voice.
What do you think about Frances Parker Spice? What do you think she was trying to communicate there? We don't need any more black or brown faces that don't want to be black or brown or queer or Muslim voices. What does that mean?
I'd be horribly offended.
What does it mean?
It means you have to play the race card. You have to join us or shut up and go away.
Right. You are not a true
Black person.
black, brown, queer, her word, Muslim, unless you share our ideology. Then you're illegitimate. She might as well say you're an Uncle Tom, because that's what she means. So when it comes to a discussion of race, and if you want to have, on the left, a rhetorical race war, we can do that. You're going to lose. You're going to lose on the merits, and consequently, you're going to lose on Election Day. And you should, because you're race hustlers. I like Bob Woodson's phrase actually better, race racketeers, like you're criminals, because your intellectual vacuity is criminal.
And if you think she's familiar looking, when she was a kid in Chicago at Francis Parker, she did voiceover work and appeared in Planned Parenthood bus advertisements. Was voted the most likely to be mayor of Chicago her senior year.
Verlon on the south side.
Now, listen to me. I want us to stay right here. I want us to talk about race until we're sick of it and blue in the face. And I got a question for you, Dan. I tell people that talk bad about this country all of the time, leave and go find somewhere that better fits your ideology. Now, am I a racist or am I a self-hating black man? You tell me.
Yeah, well, right. You're both, according to Ayanna Pressley, right?
Right.
And that's
right.
that. Thanks for the call, Verlon, and that's the point. Ayanna Pressley's appeal there is to a very limited group. And frankly, what she's trying to hold on to is the enthusiasm and foment is the enthusiasm of that very small cross section of Americans, including black and brown and Muslim Americans, who are not hyper politicized. They may largely vote for the Democrats, and they do. That's just the election data. But they're not hyper politicized like that. And they're not such navel gazers as those socialist Spice Girls are, that their entire identity is wrapped up in their color or their sexual orientation or their religion. And ultimately what we're really saying is their intersectional quotient. That's all they are, is the color of their skin, which is what Ayanna Pressley's saying. And frankly, you don't even have a claim to your own heritage if you don't support our cultural Marxist policy agenda. Then you're out. You're no longer a legitimate black, brown, Muslim, queer person. That's what she said. Carl on the south side.
Good morning. I couldn't agree 100% more with that last guy. He was great. I love him. This identity stuff has got to stop. You know, if you're second, third generation American, you're not a hyphenated whatever. You are a Heinz 57 butt American.
Right.
The reason that they pull that forward, that's the first thing they say. We are women of color. Come to us. They're telling Pelosi to come to them. You know, it's not about your color. It's about your ideas that we disagree.
Thanks for the call, Carl. Grant in Rockford.
Good morning, you two, Amy. Glad to hear your son's okay.
Thank you.
You know, I think Trump needs to keep the spotlight on the four idiots of the apocalypse. They shine and show what the Democrat Party will become if they are elected president or elected into control. Another Spice Girl name for Ilhan Omar, I liked Incest Spice. So you guys have a good one.
Thanks for the call, Grant. I think we'll stick with Brotherly Love Spice, a little less explicit. Greg in Schaumburg.
For starters, Verlon, I think, is one of your best callers. I agree with the second caller in his comments. Amy and Dan, welcome, or good morning. As we go into the election, if we continue to approach this issue or any issue from what our personal perspective is, and then amplify even a worse fallacy of bringing to it the conservative ideology. We're missing what's going on. What reality is going on is the play for 4 swing states for about 150 to 200,000 votes that they are banking on. The Romneyite mentality will swing them out of utter Alinsky frustration over the line into the Democratic column because they just can't handle any more Trumpisms. And that's the election. And Dan, you're saying that they're going to lose. I pray you're right.
Yeah, that might be, Greg. Thanks for the call. That is a very high risk strategy. That's a real high wire act. And the Democrats have all kinds of complications. I'm not saying that this is a fait accompli. It is not. It is not. That's I said earlier in the week. The national polls that don't mean anything, I'm glad they're reporting it. I'm glad they're reporting Trump down 7 to Warren or 9 to Biden or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. But I'm glad they're reporting it. You know why? Because it's a reminder that this is going to be painstaking and it's going to take an energized base. Plus, so that's Trump's problem. He hasn't done great work bridging to more. But I think what he recognizes, or somebody does, is that it's going to be very difficult for him to bridge more on his merits other than a robust economy. Maybe if we see more progress at the border, real substantive progress, measurable progress that you can understand as opposed to the back and forth that we've seen. So what he really has to do in lieu of a bridge on the positive is blow up the left's bridge to that same constituency in those states that you referenced and a few others. So that's what he's doing. He almost essentially announced it a couple of weeks ago when he said, hey, you may not like me, but what else do you got? That's sort of his value prop to those swing voters in some of those swing states. You may not like me, but here's some of what we've accomplished. Things are better for you, for most of you, economically. We are disentangling globally and reducing the number of Americans exposed to harm overseas with respect to troop levels. And on the other side, you have people that would eliminate borders altogether. You have people that believe everything should be free except freedom. And people don't believe that. Even most of your hate has no home here, overeducated simps understand that there is no such thing as a free lunch. And so making these 4 the voice of the left and frankly, more important than anybody running for president at current is a way to blow up the bridge the left has to try and get to some in the middle over Trump's personality and some of his intemperate commentary. I think he's playing it right, even though it wouldn't be necessarily how I'd play it. And I think you can make those distinctions.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Health Quest Radio, Chicagoland's longest-running health, news, and science show with your host, Dr. David Kolbaba.
You know, people who age slower live longer. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. We can compare your biologic age with your chronologic age to determine how fast you're aging. Just a few seconds to safely scan for those advanced glycation end products that cause premature aging. And I'll pay for your first assessment. That's right, your first one is free. Then we'll give you a few things to do and retest in 60 days. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. But you gotta call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. First one free if you make that call right now. Some conditions and restrictions do apply. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. Call 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
Hey guys, Ken here from Income Store. Did you know of the top 10 reasons an employee stays at a company for more than 2 years? The 7th reason is the pay or the salary. The first 6 reasons have nothing to do with money. Things like they feel part of a team, they know they belong, their voice is heard, they're respected. Also, employees go through 5 phases within a couple days to 6 months of any new position. Excitement, education, reality, doubt, then clarity. Did you know it's a manager's job to walk them to clarity as fast as possible? If you need to know these fundamental principles, fundamental? Did I just say that? I'm going to leave that in. If you need to know these fundamental principles, I can't say this. This is awesome. This is like a blooper roll. Hey, you know what? If you need tips and techniques like this to grow your business today, you got to check out door number 1 of Income Store. If you just need somebody to literally hold your hand and get you to the finish line, check out door number 2 of IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Our colleague Dennis Prager took to a Senate committee hearing to talk about Google and PragerU and censorship of conservative views online. Fascinating stuff. Wonderful remarks from Prager, and you're going to hear him at 6:06.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Here's the one and only Mike Scott.
R. Kelly held without bond. A possible deadly hit and run investigated on the west side of Chicago. Man is charged in a deadly red line stabbing. Man who caught the Humboldt Park Gator throws the first pitch at a Cubs game. And Kyle Schwarber wins that game with a walk-off blast. Cubs over the Reds. WIND, Chicago News Time 6.
Voting to condemn President Trump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The words the president uses to drive up his ratings can be like sparks to the gasoline of disturbed minds in our country.
Democratic Congressman Tom Malinowski before a drama-filled vote to pass the resolution. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the vote to condemn President Trump's tweets about freshman congresswomen passed largely along party lines and didn't come without a raucous fight. Republican Doug Collins wanted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's comment about racism stricken from the record. Things got so heated, Democrat Emanuel Cleaver, who was presiding over the House, stormed off.
We want to just fight, abandon the chair.
Democrat Steny Hoyer pointed to the rules.
Characterizing an action as racist is not in order.
Pelosi's words were not stricken, and the resolution passed with 4 Republicans crossing over. Dave?
Rachel, President Trump, who insists he doesn't have a racist bone in his body, tweeted it was great to see how united Republicans were in that vote. Then he again went after the 4 congresswomen he controversially told to go back to the country where they came from. The president wrote, "They've said horrible things about our country." A Supreme Court legend has died. John Paul Stevens was a justice for 35 years when he retired at age 90 in 2010. President Obama said then Stevens had a great mind and a great value to the rule of law. Stevens was considered a leading liberal on the court. El Chapo will get life in prison today. It's mandatory for Mexican drug lord Joaquin Guzman at sentencing in New York after his murder, conspiracy, and drug convictions.
The government also wants the judge to tack on another symbolic 30 years for the use of firearms in his business. They've also asked for restitution for his victims. At least one of his victims, who says she survived a hit ordered by El Chapo, is expected to speak at the sentencing.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. A shooting last night in Kentucky as a sheriff's deputy in McCreary County in critical condition this morning. The accused gunman was arrested. This is Fox News.
Sunshine this morning, but some fog. 73 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Crews battling an apartment fire in Crystal Lake this morning. No word on injuries. A woman is dead following a house fire in Aurora. That investigation continues this morning after the blaze broke out yesterday in the 1100 block of South State Street. However, early investigating says no foul play is suspected. Chicago police investigating a deadly hit-and-run crash on the west side. Officers were called out early this morning to a report of a person lying in a Chicago street, 800 block of South Central Avenue. A man who appeared to have been struck by a vehicle was found unresponsive, later declared dead at that scene. R. Kelly remains locked up, awaiting trial on federal sex crime charges. Disappointing, his attorney Steve Greenberg.
He's never missed a court date. He's never been late for a court date. He doesn't have a passport. He doesn't travel anywhere. He's absolutely not a flight risk.
Kelly faces a combined 18 counts in indictments in Brooklyn and Chicago. A recently paroled armed robber is charged with murder in the deadly stabbing over the weekend on a CTA Red Line train. Tony Polk is due in bond court today. He was arrested at his South Shore home On Monday, police say Polk stabbed Troy Johnson to death Saturday while riding a train near the Cermak Chinatown station. A gator expert from Florida getting the star treatment after capturing that gator that roamed the Humboldt Park Lagoon in Chicago for a week. Robb proudly displaying the reptile after nabbing it on the west side early yesterday.
Everybody's got different blessings. This is my blessing. It's what I've spent every day of my life doing for the past 24 years.
Robb expected to turn on the Buckingham Fountain today. Kyle Schwarber's walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th gave the Cubs a 4-3 win over the Reds. Royals drubbed the White Sox 11-0. The news a service of Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma, here's to progress. 6:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains the people we're fighting against.
Fox News reporter was reporting on the win of the American soccer team, and then behind him were fans of the team, and they all started screaming F Trump. The low caliber of hatred of the president, of people who hate the president, it is remarkable. Is it true for every single person who hates the president? No, it isn't. Is it true for the great majority? I think it is.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but all of a sudden it kicked in. I don't know how long it took it to kick in, but it kicked in. I feel it. I have more spring in the old step than I did before. Somebody told me, they said, boy, what is with you? You're getting too lively. I said, I just feel great, and I do, and it just hit me all of a sudden. So I am so happy with the product. It's fabulous.
Experience the difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week's supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You will still receive free shipping on every order. This is a limited offer and may end at any time. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Pros do it right to save 5% more on eligible purchases every day just by using your Lowe's Business Credit account. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Subject to credit approval, cannot be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
6:07 AM 560 traffic center time. Very latest with Jim Talamonte.
CTA is reporting delays on the red line right now, the 95th bound side, to a situation at Howard. On the west side of Chicago Central remains closed from the Eisenhower north to Harrison for major crash investigation. Naperville crash on North Aurora Road at 59. The Edens looks good. Kennedy inbound delays start at Cumberland, 25 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. On Eisenhower, 36 minutes, 390 to the Bird Circle, outbound 30. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to the drive. The line is already 31 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 16 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Bishop 428. Northbound Tri-State is heavy from the Reagan Tollway to the Ike. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Humid, warmer, times of clouds and sun today, high 91. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Strong thunderstorm tonight, low 75. A shower thunderstorm early tomorrow morning and an excessive heat watch by the afternoon, the high 98. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
74 at O'Hare, next news 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella, Sunday mornings starting at 8.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our colleague, the great Dennis Prager, was before a Senate Judiciary Subcommittee yesterday testifying about, specifically about Prager University's treatment by YouTube and its parent company, Google, the censorship of Prager University content. And he offered a 5-minute opening statement, and you need to hear all of it. So we're going to play all of it. Dennis Prager yesterday before, again, the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee talking about effectively what we should do about big tech. There are a lot of problems. We've talked about them here: privacy, national security concerns in terms of things raised by people like Peter Thiel, Google's relationship with the Chinese government. And then there's the issue of whether or not there should be some sort of regulation with respect to big tech's censorship of conservative views they disagree with. On the topic, Dennis Prager.
It is an honor to be invited to speak in the United States Senate, but I wish I were not so honored, because the subject of this hearing, Google and YouTube's, and for that matter, Twitter and Facebook's suppression of internet content on ideological grounds, threatens the future of America more than any external enemy. In fact, never in American history has there been as strong a threat to freedom of speech as there is today. Before addressing this, however, I think it important that you know a bit about me and the organization I co-founded, Prager University, PragerU, as it is often referred to. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. My late father, Max Prager, was a CPA and an Orthodox Jew who volunteered to serve in the U.S. Navy at the start of World War II. My father's senior class thesis at the City College of New York was on anti-Semitism in America. Yet despite his keen awareness of the subject, he believed that Jews living in America were the luckiest Jews to have ever lived. He was right. Having taught Jewish history at Brooklyn College, written a book on anti-Semitism, and fought Jew hatred my whole life, I thank God for living in America. It breaks my heart that a vast number of young Americans have not only not been taught how lucky they are to be Americans, but have been taught either how unlucky they are or how ashamed they should be. It breaks my heart for them, because contempt for one's country leaves a terrible hole in one's soul, and because ungrateful people always become unhappy and angry people. And it breaks my heart for America, because no good country can survive when its people have contempt for it. I have been communicating this appreciation of America for 35 years as a radio talk show host, the last 20 in national syndication with the Salem Radio Network, an organization that is a blessing in American life.
Yay, Salem.
One reason I started PragerU was to communicate America's moral purpose and moral achievements, both to young Americans and to young people around the world. With 1 billion views a year, and with more than half of the viewers under age 35, PragerU has achieved some success. My philosophy of life is easily summarized. God wants us to be good. Period. God without goodness is fanaticism, and goodness without God will not long endure. Everything I and PragerU do emanates from belief in the importance of being a good person. That some label us extreme or, quote, haters only reflects on the character and the broken moral compass of those making such accusations. They are the haters and extremists. PragerU releases a 5-minute video every week. Our presenters include 3 former prime ministers, 4 Pulitzer Prize winners, liberals, conservatives, gays, blacks, Latinos, atheists, believers, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and professors and scientists from MIT, Harvard, Stanford, and a dozen other universities. Do you think the Secretary General of NATO, or the former prime ministers of Norway, Canada, or Spain, or the late Charles Krauthammer, or Philip Hamburger, distinguished professor of law at Columbia Law School, would make a video for an extreme or hate-filled site? The idea is not only preposterous, it is a smear. Yet Google, which owns YouTube, has restricted access to 56 of our 325-minute videos and to other videos we produce. Restricted means families that have a filter to avoid pornography and violence cannot see that video. It also means that no school or library can show that video. Google has even restricted access to a video on the 10 Commandments, as we have seen. Yes, the 10 Commandments. We have repeatedly asked Google why our videos are restricted. No explanation is ever given. But of course we know why. Because they come from a conservative perspective. Liberals and conservatives differ on many issues, but they have always agreed that free speech must be preserved. While the left has never supported free speech, liberals always have. I therefore appeal to liberals to join us in fighting on behalf of America's crowning glory, free speech. Otherwise, I promise you, one day you will say, first they came after conservatives, and I said nothing. And then they came after me, and there was no one left to speak up for me. Thank you.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. Take your reactions to what Dennis Prager had to say, and closing with the paraphrasing of the famous Martin Niemöller formulation about Nazi Germany. It
was brilliant.
There's a lot of good stuff in there. I was just to like how Prager simplifies things too. I mean, my philosophy on life: God wants us to be good, and the two are connected. Yeah, I love that formulation. That's so good. But Prager calling this the greatest threat because of the power of big tech, the greatest threat to our nation. It's an internal one, not an external one, and it's the elimination of dissent. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. He made the point about the 10 Commandments. You know why the 10 Commandments, at least there's supposition the 10 Commandments was
yanked from YouTube?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Because it included the word murder.
One of the 10 Commandments is about thou shalt not murder.
Right. You had murder in there.
So that's why it got yanked, or it was filtered out?
Yeah.
Really?
And he and Cruz, Ted Cruz, who is the chair of this subcommittee of the Judiciary Committee, had a good back and forth about that. Yeah, you would think like you wanting to put out this notion, you shall not murder, you should not murder. You would think that'd be a good thing. But when you disassemble words and you don't provide any context, then you sort of lose meaning.
I think he was effective because he appealed to liberals too. You know, saying if we don't stop it with this conservative movement, they're going to come after you, and there's going to be no right to free speech.
Well, in point of fact, they already have, haven't they? Because one of the videos that was yanked from YouTube was Alan Dershowitz, a self-professed liberal, Hillary Clinton voter, on the origins of the State of Israel. And Prager, in questioning after he and the other panelists provided their testimony, had a nice exchange with Ted Cruz where they got into more detail. The detail is important here. The detail is important to understand the consequences of the policies that are being used by Google and YouTube, as well as any discussion of regulation, whether that should be federal or direct federal regulation in a statutory sense, or whether it should be removal of legal protections, recasting them as publishers of content so they don't have insulation from defamation claims, is another discussion that's had in the area of how to deal with Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc. So this exchange between Prager and Ted Cruz, where Prager has a really choice characterization of Google. Listen.
We have 320 videos, 15 of them concern Israel, and half of them have at one time or another been restricted. There was clearly a loathing of Israel at Google. I suspect there is a loathing of America as well. Virtually every video that we have put out that depicts America in a favorable way has also been at some time or another on the restricted list. My favorite example for years was Victor Davis Hanson, this remarkable professor of classics. And he made a video. He's one of the most calm-speaking humans I have ever met. He's the opposite of a grenade-throwing speaker. And the subject was the Korean War. The Korean War in 5 minutes. And it is no longer on the restricted. They go in and out, apparently, in some cases. And that was on the restricted list because, so I try to think, why would that be? And I could only come up with the fact that it shows how noble America's cause in Korea was, that 37,000 Americans died to keep half of the Korean peninsula free. How many people even know that?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. Philip in Blue Island, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Along with you and Prager, you use words very intelligently and succinctly and very smart. Last Friday, I had a conversation with Prager. Very good, about 5-minute conversation. But his main point was that there is very little racism in America. And then, of course, over the weekend, everything blew up, and now we see that that was a false statement.
Well, I don't know that we see that that's a false statement. Philip, did you ever read William Julius Wilson's book? The Declining.
No, I can't say that I have.
William Julius Wilson, who was a Harvard sociologist, African American gentleman, in 1978. 1978. His book, The Declining Significance of Race, in which he argued that racial discrimination, though it exists, was no longer the biggest barrier to black economic advancement. And, of course, he was ostracized by his liberal colleagues for suggesting such a thing. Another Harvard political scientist, Robert Putnam, more recently wrote that the white working class family today is more fragile than the black family was at the time of Daniel Patrick Moynihan's famous report on black families in 1965. So the point is not to say that racism doesn't exist. The point is to say when we're talking about racism, why? Because we're saying racism prevents people from having equal access to the law, equal economic opportunities. And what these left African-American academics are suggesting is, well, the evidence suggests that that's not the case. And Jason Riley, who's also African-American, has a good piece in the Wall Street Journal about this very topic and talking about more fundamental sociological dynamics like the state of families in general and the black family in particular, if we want to talk about why black families are not and why blacks are not doing as well economically as other demographics.
Did you happen to read David No's article in the Yahoo News about how Anti-Defamation League, ADL, blasted Trump for invoking Israel into defending his racist statement? So they basically saying that his statement was racist. Somebody like Prager, who claims to be Orthodox Jewish and all these different things, even with and he can't even bring himself to say, and you yesterday or a couple of days ago couldn't even say yourself that the statement that Trump made was racist. Now the Anti-Defamation League comes out and say that it is.
Well,
I ask you again, was the statement racist?
Well, the ADL is not my standard. The ADL is a left group, too. So an appeal to authority is a fallacious line of reasoning, so that holds no currency for me. With respect to the statement, I don't think Trump intended it based on race. We've had this discussion, Amy and I think that he meant it as a function of their ideology and their vitriol in the direction of America as well as Israel. The statements Omar has made about Islamic terrorists, for example, the recasting of history that Tlaib attempted to do with respect to Palestinians and the state of Israel in the 20th century. I think that's what he was referencing. So no, I don't, even though I don't think that he should have used the phraseology that he used. Thanks for the call, Philip. But remember, the question I asked was not about the statement, and you want to obsess about the statement. The question is about racism in America. You suggested that saying that it's not fundamental, it's not systemic, and thus the leading preventer of opportunity or equal justice before the law. There's just there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that's just not the case. Saying that it exists is not synonymous with saying that it's systemic. And I don't know why so many on the left who are otherwise, I guess, trying to be fair-minded are unable to make that distinction. John in Palatine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, it's hard to follow that interchange. But one of the reasons I think that Google and other sites are censoring conservative views is here's a theory. There's a lot of millennials that work there, and all of the millennials are taught by leftist educators. And when they hear words like the Ten Commandments or murder, there's not a lot of critical thinking, and there's a lot of groupthink there. So they immediately just throw out the baby with the bathwater, and I think that's why a lot of conservative views are also thrown out or banned.
Thanks for the call, John. Certainly, we spend enough time talking about K through 12 education. That has a role. There's no question. Candace in Mount Pleasant.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I was really disappointed yesterday to see that they spent so much time on the Socialist Spice Girls, as you refer to them, Dan, and not on this Dennis Prager thing. I would have liked to have seen that yesterday on Fox News, the whole thing. So that was disappointing, but I'm really glad that you played it. And I mean, he's brilliant. I really wish Trump would hire him for 2020 for campaign speeches, but it was brilliant. Yeah. I hope to hear more about this today on the news.
Thanks for the call, Candace. Can't afford Prager. Trump can't afford. No, I'm kidding.
No, please.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if he had the time for Prager to be a copy editor, I mean, he probably doesn't. He probably wants that separation. No, even to go over his speeches. But I mean, Prager's 5 minutes yesterday, and I tweeted out the transcript of his remarks, so you can see that at Dan Proft. I mean, tonality is perfect. It's always substantive. It's always thoughtful. Dots are always connected. Evidence is presented. Whether you agree with Dennis Prager or not, first of all, the idea that we're even having a conversation about whether Prager, you or Dennis Prager is an extremist is absurd. That shows you how far we've fallen. This is a great intellectual, but he's just a master craftsman of communication and argument. And again, whether you agree with him or not, you could learn a lot from Dennis Prager and how he presents.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results may vary. Exclusions apply.
But hey, I'm buying a huge flat screen TV so I can finally see it without my glasses.
Why not just get LASIK at the LASIK Vision Institute? That's what I'm doing.
My glasses and contacts are a pain. I'd love to finally get rid of these, but who can afford LASIK?
You can. Because the LASIK Vision Institute is offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. Just text TRY to 350-350. The LASIK Vision Institute has already performed over 1 million procedures. They use the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for a fraction of what others charge. Better vision, better value. The LASIK Vision Institute. Make this the year you finally get LASIK. For a free consultation plus an extra 20% discount, text TRY to 350-350. You'll see for free if LASIK is right for you. That's TRY to 350-350.
Hey, does your basement or crawl space smell like, a basement, musty, odor-ridden? Do you know the natural airflow in your home originates from the ground and works its way up into your living environment, and your family and your friends may be breathing in that unhealthy air even when you're upstairs. And that's why you should give our friends at Permaseal a call today, 800-421-SEAL, to schedule a free inspection with one of their certified consultants. They'll conduct a thorough inspection of your basement and crawl space and provide you with proven solutions that will help prevent mold spores and allergens from affecting your family. You know, for the past 40 years, over 400,000 Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana homeowners have trusted Permaseal to provide permanent solutions to their musty basement and crawl space issues. And that's why they've earned the A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. Stop breathing that unhealthy air. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net. Be sure to ask your consultant about their PermaDry dehumidification and air filtration system. 800-421-7325 or go to permaseal.net.
Is your old AC a clunker? Does it clunk, leak, or make weird noises? Could be it's on its way out. Luckily, the highly trained techs at your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning will replace your AC with new top-tier equipment. And isn't that what you want to hear? Right now, get big savings on a complete cooling system. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section and after Dad's back injury. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Trouble with opioids can start at home with unused medicines, such as pills, patches, and syrups. You can remove the risk and protect your family. Find out how at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Oh, do it. We're taking balance of nature. Why? Well, we're admitting the fact that we don't eat enough fruits and veggies on our own. And I say we because Peyton and Eli are doing it too. At all those barbecues you're going to, you know, there's only hot dogs, beer, and brats. You need to take balance of nature because our bodies need those fruits and veggies. It really is easy and convenient. And if you listen to this station, well, I know you've heard people talking about how balance of nature has changed their lives. And it could do the same for you. So start living a healthier life today by taking balance of nature. Experience the difference for yourself. And right now, receive 25% off your first order of Balance of Nature. Plus, get this, a convenient travel bottle containing a free additional week supply of Balance of Nature. You'll still receive free shipping on every order. It's a limited offer and may end at any time. So call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
There was additional testimony at that hearing at which Prager testified, and you need to hear it. Dr. Robert Epstein, who's a former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today, on how big tech manipulates elections. That's at 6:36.
And later, fans fight back at Wrigley. We'll tell you why and over what. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Sunrise, Chicago, 73 degrees. We've had some light fog, but that's beginning to burn off. Crews are battling an apartment fire in Crystal Lake. The big blaze started early this morning in the 500 block of Devonshire Lane. No word on injuries. Chicago police are investigating a deadly hit-and-run crash on the west side. Officers were called out early this morning to a report of a person lying in the street unresponsive in the 800 block of South Central. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Democrat-controlled House of Representatives condemning tweets from President Trump that targeted 4 minority congresswomen by passing a simple resolution. As Mike Bauer reports.
The rebuke of tweets by President Trump directed at 4 freshman Democratic congresswomen was an embarrassing one. The president had appealed to GOP lawmakers not to go along, but there were 4 Republicans who supported the resolution. The proceedings were put on hold for over an hour with partisan gamemanship between Republicans and Democrats, including a GOP objection to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's remarks about Trump and whether she should be allowed to keep speaking on the floor. The measure carries no legal repercussions for the president, and the vote was highly partisan, which is unlikely to cost him with his diehard conservative base.
President Trump says there is a long way to go before a trade deal with China is concluded. Hosting a cabinet meeting at the White House, the president stressed China broke the deal that was in the works.
Practically done. It was just like a very short period of time. We would have had it finished.
The president says he now could impose tariffs on another $325 billion worth of Chinese goods. This morning, the German government is proposing a measure to make measles vaccinations mandatory for children and employees of kindergartners and schools. Chancellor Angela Merkel's cabinet approved the plan, noting that the number of measles infections has risen to over 700 this year. Noncompliance means children will be refused admittance to kindergarten. U.S. Geological Survey says a series of earthquakes that rocked northern and southern California yesterday do not indicate the big one is on the way. Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman will be sentenced in federal court in Brooklyn this morning for trafficking hundreds of tons of cocaine, heroin, and marijuana into the U.S. A man is facing a citation here in Chicago following a crash on the west side that injured a police officer near Lexington and Kedzie. And a second teen has died as a result of a Sunday morning fire at a St. John, Indiana township home near Dyer. Kyle Schwarber's walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th lifted the Cubs to a 4-3 win over the Reds. Royals drubbed the White Sox in KC 11-0. The news service of Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma, here's to progress. 6:35. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees retaliation from the president.
The shooting down in international waters of a drone, an American drone, by Iran. I know a lot of people expected the loose cannon Donald Trump to race out there and go out and bomb them to smithereens. Oh, I think a response is coming, by the way.
I have no doubt a response is coming.
But it will be on his time.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Bastuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
While I'm searching for the perfect balance, there's hundreds of thousands of chemicals just in an apple alone, and hundreds of thousands in an orange, and all of them. If I can just remove the water without damaging all of the other chemistry, then I can pack it more dense. I never imagined that I would be able to get it down to 3 fruit capsules and 3 vegetable capsules and have the same nutrient value as eating over 10 servings of fruits and vegetables every day.
Experience the difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week's supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You will still receive free shipping on every order. This is a limited offer and may end at any time. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
It is 6:37 in the AM 560 traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Reagan Tollway eastbound I-88 traffic stop and go 83 to Roosevelt. With ongoing construction, the Avens looks good, but the eastbound spur is heavy from Tri-State to Finkston and Waukegan Road to the Edens. Kennedy inbound delays start at Cumberland. Looking at about 29 minutes, so O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 24. Inbound Eisenhower, it's 45 minutes, 390 to the Burn Circle. Outbound 38. Stevenson already 57 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 35. Ryan is 33 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 16 minutes, I-80 to the Bird, Bishop 428. The West Side Central remains closed from the Eisenhower to Harrison, just north of there. Crash investigation. Traffic, I'm Jim Alamonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Humid. A little warmer today. Clouds and sun with a high of 91. Currently 75. Next news coming up at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity. Right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about Prager's testimony with respect to the big tech companies, specifically in his case, and the case PragerU has against YouTube and its parent company Google, the censorship of videos, Prager University videos, most notably those that deal with the state of Israel, as well as those that cast America in a positive light. And he used a great example, the Korean War. Why would a Victor Davis Hanson 5-minute video explaining the historical significance of the Korean War and the sacrifice that 37,000 Americans who died to keep half the peninsula free, why would that be something that would be censored by and removed effectively by YouTube?
I don't know. I mean, obviously it bothered someone, so they decided to yank it.
And Prager suggests it's because it cast America in a heroic light. And
Well, isn't that
by the
what
way,
we want? Isn't that why our loved ones died for this country?
well, this is perhaps
For our freedoms, but it's okay to be a hero in the process?
to borrow a phrase, maybe Google's values aren't American values, or our values aren't Google's values, depending on your perspective. But yeah, that's the point that Prager makes. And by the way, it's not just taking the videos down; it's also subjecting them to parental filters. And a lot of parents have filters because they're, as Prager said in his testimony in the back and forth, because, there's so much garbage on the internet, rightly so. So now you're treating Prager University videos like Alan Dershowitz on the history of the state of Israel or Victor Davis Hanson on the Korean War the same way you would treat pornography. And I thought that was an important point he made. It's not just unfair because it's limiting our reach. It's also a smear on Prager University's reputation.
Yeah, because there's a pornography filter on many library computers
Sure.
and at home with parental consent. And that's what it's being compared to. I mean, that's what it is. They're saying that it's basically porn, which makes no sense.
Well, they're saying it's hate, right?
hate.
Something that should be
Not seen by children.
limited, right? Yes, exactly. So that was important testimony that Prager gave. Other important testimony: Dr. Robert Epstein, who's a respected mental health professional. He was the editor-in-chief of Psychology Today. He is a Hillary Clinton voter. And he mentioned in his testimony in public, very much a Hillary Clinton voter, somebody who's always been center-left. But he's been, for the last 6.5 years, researching the big tech companies and how they use algorithms, particularly more recently in the context of elections. Listen to what he had to offer. And, he lays out the case, so it takes a minute. You got to pay a little bit of attention, but it's worth it.
I've been a research psychologist for nearly 40 years. My PhD is from Harvard, and since 1981, I've published extensively on AI and other topics. Some of my research has focused on Google, on the company's massive surveillance operations, censorship capabilities, and unprecedented ability to manipulate the thinking of 2.5 billion people, soon to be 4+ billion. I've written articles about Google for Time Magazine, USA Today, that kind of thing, but also for the Daily Caller and even Russia's Sputnik News. I reach out to diverse audiences because I believe the threats posed by Google, and to a lesser extent Facebook, are so serious that everyone needs to know about them. Here are just 3 disturbing findings from my research, which adheres to the very highest standards of scientific integrity. Number 1, in 2016, Google's search algorithm likely impacted undecided voters in a way that shifted at least 2.6 million votes to Hillary Clinton, whom I supported. I know this because I preserved more than 13,000 election-related searches prior to Election Day, and Google's search results were significantly biased in favor of Secretary Clinton. I know the number of votes that shifted because I've conducted dozens of controlled experiments that measure how opinions shift when search results are biased. I call this shift SEAM, the search engine manipulation effect, which I first published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2015. Biased search results can easily produce shifts in the opinions and voting preferences of undecided voters by up to 80% in some demographic groups because people blindly trust high-ranking search results over lower ones. SEAM is an especially dangerous form of influence because it is, in effect, subliminal. It also leaves no paper trail for authorities to trace. It's an example of a short-lived or, quote, ephemeral experience. That's a phrase you'll find in internal emails that have leaked recently from Google. I'm now studying 7 such manipulations like SEAM, and unlike billboards or those Russian-placed ads, these manipulations are invisible and non-competitive. They're controlled entirely by big tech companies, and there is no way to counteract them. Number 2, on Election Day in 2018, the Go Vote reminder that Google displayed on its homepage gave one political party at least 800,000 more votes than it gave the other party. That reminder was not a public service, it was a vote manipulation. Number 3, in the weeks leading up to the 2018 election, bias in Google search results may have shifted upwards of 78.2 million votes spread across many races to the candidates of one political party. This number is based on bias in data captured by my 2018 monitoring system, which preserved more than 47,000 election-related searches conducted by a diverse group of American voters. I know how to stop big tech in its tracks.
And he writes about that in Bloomberg. We'll get to that in a second, what his solution is. But listen to the identification of the problem. By the way, there was a representative from Google that was there to testify as well. They didn't dispute, they disputed his conclusion, but they couldn't refute what Dr. Epstein was saying about his data because they don't know what searches that he reviewed. So I don't know, I'm just disclosing, I don't know the level of peer review that has been done here with respect to his work, but you heard his credentials. I mentioned his credentials and where he's coming from ideologically. So let's just start from the premise, and his work should be subjected to peer review just like any other scientific work. Let's just start from the premise that he's onto something, because we know he's onto something, don't we? James O'Keefe's most recent undercover investigation with the Google exec, Jen Janai, the head of responsible innovation, who suggested as much, who suggested that, consistent with what the anonymous tipster said to O'Keefe, that after Trump was elected in 2016, Google shifted their focus to elections, specifically preventing the reelection of Trump. And as a ramp up to that in 2020, you've heard some of what Dr. Epstein found in terms of what they were doing prior to the midterm elections in 2018. 3 concrete examples, millions of votes from 2016 to 2 in 2018. Talk about moving 78 million votes in the midterm elections up and down the ballot. 2.6 million, and he'll hear later in exchange with Ted Cruz, 2.6 million at the lower range to 10 million for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And their plans for 2020?
Because if these companies all support the same candidate, they will have the power to shift 15 million votes to that candidate. To let big tech get away with subliminal manipulation on this scale would be to make the free and fair election meaningless.
If Facebook, Google, Twitter, at all, and that's most of them, get together, they hit what the professor is saying based on his research and to what they're doing and how they're putting the finger on the scale for a particular party. I think we know which that one that is, and thus it would be a particular nominee. We already know that Elizabeth Warren has received the most Silicon Valley donations so far, campaign cash so far. 15 million votes. So I ask, we spent 2.5 years with wall-to-wall daily coverage of accusations of Russian collusion. Do you think those Russian interference campaigns, social media campaigns, in 2016, forget what they have the capacity to do in 2020. In 2016, 2.6 million votes, lower end is what the professor suggests. You think those 100 grand, 120 grand on Facebook ads, you think that moved that many votes? And as we know, the Facebook ads were included also some anti-Trump Facebook ads, right? Because the whole point of Russia is not necessarily to pick a candidate. It's just to create discord, undermine the integrity of institutions, the people's faith in institutions like the integrity of our elections. So which do you think is more of a threat? Russian interference or big tech manipulation? Based on what you're hearing from the professor in part. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
They're both concerning.
Well, they're both concerning, but I'm saying,
Which is
what have we devoted how much attention have we devoted to each respectively? We got Bob Mueller, who's still, at least a week away from testifying about a report 2 years in the making that we've had, that we've just obsessed about since it was released, poring over every single thing, endlessly arguing about, even though he found no collusion, whether there actually was collusion. And this is all under the auspices, protect the integrity of our elections. That's the predicate for all this, right? We have to have free and fair elections. We have to make sure Americans' votes are counted. We have to make sure nobody is disenfranchised. Well, what about this manipulation, if the professor's correct? Ted Cruz picked up this issue. This back and forth with the professor is additionally instructive.
The number one financial supporter of the Hillary Clinton campaign in the 2016 election was the parent company of Google, Alphabet, who was our first witness. They were her number one financial donor, and your testimony is, through their deceptive search methods, they moved 2.6 million votes in her direction. I would think anybody, whether or not you favor one candidate or another, should be deeply dismayed about a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires having that much power over our elections to silently and deceptively shift vote outcomes.
Again, with respect, I must correct you. The 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million, depending on how aggressively they used the techniques that I've been studying now for 6.5 years.
Nicholas on the northwest side.
Yeah. Hi, Dan and Amy. Doing a good job as usual.
Thank you.
You know, we have historical perspective how the opposite extreme, of course, it was through the government, but in Hitler's Germany and Mussolini's Italy, besides with Stalin and but anytime somebody has a lot of power and influence, which these media groups do have, that they people don't realize, maybe they're not part part of government, but their influence on people in the government, virtually like the news media that's heavily pro-left. These people eventually mess up everything for everybody. You can't suppress and distort things one way and think it's going to always work out your way without any kind of consequences. So we're going to have some kind of a problem coming back, like those who sow the wind shall reap the whirlwind. You know, something's going to come back against them. It's coming back already, like with these discussions we're having here, and people are just going to get so fed up with it that they're going to react in a very hostile way. And that's my opinion, okay?
Thanks for the call, Nicholas. Appreciate it. I mean, here's the thing, too, and Ted Cruz made this point. We obsess about corporate involvement in elections, and the left does in particular.
Right.
The hand-wringing over money in elections. Billionaires.
They always say it should stop, but they all need the cash.
The Koch brothers are boogeyman. George Soros. We ban corporate contributions at the federal level. We have relatively low caps on individual contributions, $2,800 a person. What's the argument? Well, you don't want to give billionaires the ability to just buy elections. Well, wouldn't that same argument apply to what Google is doing and Facebook?
It's giving them just as much power, not in a monetary way, but when it comes to getting information out or keeping it within.
Frank in Arlington Heights.
Amy, yeah, I think the biggest threat to free and fair elections is in many respects ourselves, the Republican Party and conservatives, because we hold so dear this ideology that we have to stay out of private companies' affairs and regulating them when it's obvious that these big tech companies have manipulated the elections and will continue to. And there's so many other ways that these elections are manipulated, and we just don't want to do it. We're uncomfortable with using the means that are available to us to be able to stop them. And we need to use the antitrust laws to be able to deal with Google and Facebook and so forth.
Thanks, Frank. Ralph and Rantoul.
Hey, good morning. You know, this tells me that Hillary was an even bigger loser, and maybe that What Happened title book. That What Happened title book is really an open question to Google. So listen, Sergey Brin and Larry Page founded it. Little do people know, and I don't think the stupid majority of people out there, ignorant and stupid, will care or even think about how much they're being manipulated or even be capable of understanding. But when Google went into China, at the request of the Chinese authorities, they applied their algorithm blocks, their searches, to exclude absolutely everything that related to Christianity. So
and to Tiananmen Square.
And all of that was set up. And remember Google's hypocritical lie, do no evil. That's one of their core beliefs. You know, that all I hear is condescending arrogance from those guys. Do no evil, really, as they define it. They've been involved in shenanigans from the very beginning. And, you know, how much more evil can you think than excluding Christian search terms from 1.5 billion people and excluding their access? Google left China, but they're back. And the reason they agreed to all of those filters in the beginning is for the dollar. All they care about is money. All this other stuff is just frosting on an otherwise rotten Booster pie.
Thanks, Ralph.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. The Trump administration blasts World Trade Organization. Blue Apron shares skyrocket on Meatless Meat Edition, and Amazon thinks your privacy is worth about $10. Those stories next.
This is your Stock Market Bulletin. I'm Bobby Richards. The CEO of an obscure $3 tech stock founded by the blue-collar son of a police officer has captured the attention of Donald Trump. Trump met with the CEO at the White House, and since then, Donald Trump appears to have become the company's #1 fan. He showed up at a groundbreaking ceremony. He called the CEO one of the most successful business people across the globe, and he said what they are doing is the 8th wonder of the world. We decided to investigate for ourselves and reached out to the premier stock analyst in the United States, Oxford Club chief investment strategist Alex Green. Alex told us the company's landing massive deals, including $450 million with Nokia, $395 million with Microsoft, $828 million with Cisco, and $29.2 billion with Apple. The company is set to create 50,000 jobs in America this year, and Alex has now declared this $3 stock his number one play for 2019. Go to onestockretirement.com for more details, including how much Alex expects the stock to rise this year.
The Trump administration blasting a World Trade Organization ruling that the United States miscalculated tariffs. If that ruling were to stand, China would be allowed to retaliate with its own sanctions. Home delivery meal kit service Blue Apron says it will add plant-based burgers from startup Beyond Meat to its offerings. Blue Apron shares surging 60% after that development, but overall, the meal delivery company is still down more than 90% from its initial public offering. How much is your privacy worth? Well, according to online giant Amazon, $10. That's it, $10. During its Prime Day sales, Amazon offered customers the chance to earn a $10 credit if they'd allow Amazon to track the websites they visit. Amazon isn't discussing how it plans to use that data. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Louisiana Senator John Kennedy says the Socialist Spice Girls are the reason there are instructions on shampoo bottles. We'll pick that up with Freddie Gray at 7:07.
And another reason why Dan Proft is single. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is the one and only Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, R. Kelly is held without bond after a federal hearing yesterday. A possible deadly hit and run being investigated on the west side. A man is charged in a deadly red line stabbing. Man who caught the Humboldt Park gator tosses out the first pitch at a Cubs game. Cubs winners over the Reds. Royals beat the White Sox. WIND, Chicago News Time, 7.
He reacted in a tweet. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After House Democrats voted to condemn President Trump, he wrote they're now wedded to the bitterness and hate of 4 congresswomen who said horrible things about our country. He also praised Republicans for being united voting against it, though 4 in the GOP did side with Democrats in the resolution. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the House erupted into chaos when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made this statement about the president's tweets about 4 minority congresswomen.
These comments from the White House are disgraceful and disgusting, and the comments are racist.
Republican Doug Collins rose and asked Pelosi's words be stricken from the record.
I made a point of order that the gentlewoman's armed parliamentarian and request they be taken down.
Things got so tense, Democrat Emanuel Cleaver, who was presiding over the House, dropped the gavel and abandoned the chair. Democrat Steny Hoyer ruled Pelosi's comments were out of order, but they were not stricken. Dave?
Rachel, Facebook will be under more scrutiny today at a House hearing over its planned new cryptocurrency.
Facebook now wants to control the money supply. What could possibly go wrong?
Republican Senator John Kennedy wary after data breaches and privacy issues plagued Facebook. He was joined by skeptical Democrats questioning Facebook executive David Marcus yesterday, who insisted
Libra is not meant to compete with bank accounts.
Retired Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens has died at age 99. He spent 35 years on the court. President Trump praised him, saying his passion for the law in our country will not soon be forgotten. He was considered a leading liberal on the courts.
An outspoken advocate of the need for judicial oversight of executive power. He wrote the majority opinions against the Bush administration's treatment of suspected enemy combatants in the war on terror. Stevens voted to uphold lethal injection as a means of execution. He generally supported abortion rights, affirmative action, and Miranda rights for people accused of a crime.
Fox's Jared Halpern. In Kentucky, a sheriff's deputy in McCreary County is in critical condition, shot last night responding to a call. This is Fox News.
Sunshine, 75 degrees. 7:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Crews battling a massive apartment building fire in Crystal Lake. Right now, no word on any of injuries after full evacuations were underway earlier this morning. Blaze started early this morning in the 500 block of Devonshire Lane. Chicago police are investigating a deadly hit-and-run crash on the west side. Authorities say officers were called out early this morning on reports of a person lying in the street in the 800 block of South Central Avenue. A man who appeared to have been struck by a vehicle was found unresponsive, later pronounced dead at the scene. A recently paroled armed robber is charged with murder in a deadly stabbing over the weekend on a CTA Red Line train. Tony Polk is due in bond court today after he was arrested at his South Shore home Monday morning. A former 7-Eleven clerk gets 2 years in prison for yelling racial slurs at 4 men and slashing their vehicle tires last year in Lombard. Ranferi Basillo sentenced yesterday after pleading guilty to hate crime charges last month. A second teen has died as the result of a Sunday morning fire at a St. John, Indiana township home. Jasmine Levi of Streeter was pronounced dead at Comer Children's Hospital, according to a release from the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. Meantime, the grandmother at that home in Dyer, Indiana, suffered critical injuries. She remains hospitalized. Kyle Schwarber's walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th gave the Cubs a 4-3 win over the Reds. Royals beat the White Sox 11-0, and the Blackhawks ship out sniper Artem Anisimov. Team sent the forward to the Ottawa Senators in exchange for Zach Smith. The news is service of Sherwin-Williams. Ask Sherwin-Williams July 19th through 22nd and save 40% on paints and stains with sale prices starting at $23.09. Only at your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. See store for details. Some exclusions apply. 7:04. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Gas prices in Illinois have gone up. Way up.
Fill her up.
Thanks to Governor Pritzker and our lawmakers in Springfield. You're probably feeling some pain at the pump. Well, AM 560 and Croggy's Mobile Service Center in Addison want to ease your pain by giving you a $50 gas card. That's right, $50 to fill up your tank at any Exxon Mobil station. To enter for your chance to win, go to 560theanswer.com/gas.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Attention maintenance coordinators. Fans are a vital part of your business's building or factory. You've got to keep the air moving. But when they break down or need service, who can you call? Vans Industrial repair all types of fans, from small wall fans to large air movers.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Fan repair is one of many services that Vans offers. If you have a fan with a damaged shaft, bearing, impeller, or housing, we can help. And if you need a new fan, we handle all major brands and can provide engineering assistance to properly size your new fan. Our crews can respond to your emergencies or routine maintenance and will have your fan back up and running fast. And when we're done repairing your fan, we can also dynamically balance it so it runs smooth for years to come.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level, to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to get your fan repaired today. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com.
Account temps. Demand for top talent is at an all-time high, but you can't afford to miss important deadlines. Whether you need help for a day, a week, or months, keep your work on track with highly skilled accounting and finance professionals from Account Temps, a Robert Half company.
7:07 on AM 560. It is time for a dry basement and a healthy home. Time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. And time to check the roads in the AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
On Chicago's west side, Central remains closed north of the Eisenhower for major crash investigation. And Hanover Park County Farm is blocked south of Schick Road due to a crash. The Edens is running about 21 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. Kennedy, now 42 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 23 from Montrose, 11 in the Express. The Eisenhower's a 45-minute commute from 390 to downtown. Stevenson, 57 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 33 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays are Southwest Highway to the 83rd Street Toll, Stevenson to 31st, and the Reagan Toll at Wards. So Reagan Toll rates bottled up 83 to Roosevelt, Veterans Memorial Butterfield to Roosevelt. That's traffic. I'm Jim Palamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Clouds and sun, humid, warm today, high 91. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Strong thunderstorm tonight, low 75. A shower thunderstorm early tomorrow morning and an excessive heat watch, the high tomorrow, 98. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
75 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So President Trump and his war of words with the Socialist Spice Girls continues in both directions with the ladies on CBS this morning with Gayle King. First Trump yesterday after taking questions or upon taking questions after a cabinet meeting from the D.C. press corps.
Yeah, nobody cared about anything but this question that they asked.
No, they didn't want to.
I mean, they didn't even know why they were there. They just needed to ask about, are you racist? Do you still mean it? Should go back to their countries?
Right.
Mr. Trump, are you willing to not use the phrase "go back to your country" to citizens and women of color who are either citizens or have been born in this country? Would you be willing to not use that?
I think it's terrible when people speak so badly about our country, when people speak so horribly. I have a list of things here. I'm not going to bore you with it because you would be bored. You wouldn't write it anyway. But I have a list of things here said by the congresswomen that is so bad, so horrible, that I almost don't want to read it. It's so bad. I think what you do is you have the same list that I do. You should repeat some of that. When the Democrats didn't want to mention the name of the congresswoman, not so long ago, and what they did and the way they're treating Israel is a disgrace. But not only Israel, it's what they say about our country. It's my opinion they hate our country. And that's not good. It's not acceptable. Thank you very much, everybody.
That list keeps getting additions, even just this weekend from Ayanna Pressley and others, but the ladies on CBS.
Yeah. But, he doesn't like us. We don't like him.
And so if he doesn't like us, then that means he doesn't like Minnesota. That means he doesn't like the people of Michigan. That means he doesn't like my constituents in the Bronx and Queens. That means he doesn't like the Americans who sent us here.
So
I think she's kind of taken that out of context a tad bit.
Well, so being a congressman from Michigan or Minnesota is not being a representative of the entire state, number one. Including being a representative from the Bronx is not being a representative for the entire state of New York. I don't know how to break it to her. Number two, those elections weren't unanimous. And number three, you've got one of your band members there who is in trouble in her district in Minnesota. Her name is Representative Ilhan Omar. And, maybe you guys can still pile up majorities, Presley and Cortez and Tlaib. But you can only do it in your districts. You couldn't do it much of anywhere else, which should also be instructive to you. But I know it's not. And I think this is the point. You want to talk about Trump's imprecision with the language. How about these ladies? John Kennedy was on with Tucker last night. He's a Republican senator from Louisiana, and he had this to say about the whole inquisition over whether or not Trump is a racist.
I hesitate to contribute to this freak show, but I'll offer you my thoughts, Tucker, for what they're worth. I don't think President Trump is a racist. I don't think his original tweet was racist. I think it was a poor choice of words, which is why he clarified. What he has said now in clarification is that this is not China, this is America. And in America, if you hate our country, you're free to leave. Now, he said that in response to the behavior of the 4 congresswomen that you're talking about, the so-called squad. I'm not sure the president should exchange playground insults with them. You know, when you try to argue with a fool, that proves they're two. But the president decided to do so. The simple fact of the matter is that the 4 congresswomen think that America was wicked in its origins. They think that America and its people are even more wicked now, that we are all racist and misogynistic and evil. Now, they're entitled to their opinion. They're Americans. But I'm entitled to my opinion, and I just think they're left-wing cranks, and they're the reason that their directions on a shampoo bottle. I think we should ignore them.
Oh, no, you didn't.
All right, John Kennedy. I got to get to this piece. I want to get to Freddie Gray from The Spectator. But there's a piece in The Atlantic by Ibram Kendi, who is a professor and director, the Anti-Racist Research and Policy Center at the American University. The Anti-Racist Research and Policy Center. Who would name something like that? But the piece is, Am I an American? And he is an American. He was born in New York. But it is this, going back to Malcolm X, who famously said, I'm not a Republican, nor a Democrat, nor an American, and I got sense enough to know it. This sort of black nationalist perspective. This obsessive, self-referential, victim-promoting perspective from a successful academic, obviously, as I just mentioned. Am I an American? Am I an American? You know, people like Trump say I'm not. No, we don't. No, we don't. And I tell you, even when Trump makes poor language choices, says things he shouldn't have said, as I think he did in this case, the left so far overreaches as to limit the potential damage Trump causes himself and, frankly, inflict more on themselves politically. And I think that's what raising the profile of the Socialist Spice Girls is doing as well. So hat tip to Gayle King on that. For more on that topic, because he's written on it, we're pleased to be joined again by Freddie Gray, who's the deputy editor of The Spectator. Freddie Gray, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning. So what about that? Even if you don't think Trump used the right words, made the right judgment call, does it seem like amplifying the 4 congresswomen in question is going to be a net political benefit to him and Republicans?
Well, I'd like to echo what that Mr. Kennedy said about hesitating to contribute to this freak show. But I suppose I already have, so I should stick with it. I mean, I think there's a lot of Republicans who seem to be saying that it's actually quite smart and that it puts the freak show of the squad, or as you're calling them, Socialist Spice Girls, front and center of the media, and that because they are just so annoying, really, they will put off far more voters than are put off by Trump's sort of edgy tweets. I think there is some truth in this, but again, I sometimes feel in 2016, everybody, to misquote the usual suspects, that they thought that Trump was no, I'm not going to completely misquote it, but Trump convinced the world that he was an idiot when he wasn't. I think now there's a slight danger on the right that people think he's being a genius when he isn't necessarily.
Yes.
Because let's face it, in 2020, the Socialist Spice Girls are going to fade out the picture. and it is going to be a single Democratic figure, a single Democratic nominee. And does Trump benefit from this? I'm not entirely sure.
Do people in London, I mean, are they talking about this? Do they know what's going on here in America on this latest Twitter spat between President Trump and the Spice Girls?
Oh, yes, certainly. I mean, Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt, who are both trying to be prime minister, have had to come out and condemn him for his deeply offensive and racist remarks. I mean, you may think you have a kind of media monoculture in America, but it's far worse here. And obviously, everyone here is saying the same thing every week.
Boris Johnson's sort of living in a glass house, isn't he? I mean, if we want to get into the business of condemning, behavior, if not comments, Boris Johnson sort of has some exposure on the topic. I know he's got to do it because he's in the process of his ascension to 10 Downing. But I mean, come on.
No, I think you're exactly right. I mean, Boris has had a very colourful history with words, and a lot of people like to compare Boris and Trump. In fact, I've done it a fair bit myself because they make quite an interesting comparison.
Well, yeah, I wanted to build on that, so I'm glad you segued to Boris. So, assuming that he is installed as prime minister, what's the relationship between them going to be like? Does it really substantively change the UK's trajectory with respect to Brexit or its relationship with the United States?
Well, I'm pretty optimistic about it in a way that I haven't been optimistic about Brexit for a long time, because I think that if Boris Johnson becomes prime minister, which seems almost inevitable now, something's got to give, something's got to change, and a key part of that might be a much healthier relationship with the United States. Theresa May, the last prime minister, sort of shunned Trump a lot because she found him too politically toxic. She couldn't really deal with him, and he was very enthusiastic about Brexit and enthusiastic about the idea of Britain and America forming a closer alliance after Brexit. Boris doesn't have the same hang-ups, and he's always seen the upsides of Trump and the advantages of Trump. So I think, as a kind of Englishman who loves America, I feel quite optimistic that this could be a good time for relations between America and Britain.
Oh, and do you think anything is going to happen because of those leaked diplomatic cables that showed the British ambassador what he really thinks of President Trump? Is that going to affect their relationship?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the ambassador's now resigned. I think it'll be interesting to see who Boris appoints. Does he go for a political figure? We tend to have fewer political ambassadors in Britain, but we have done it in the past. Does he go for a kind of Trumpist type figure or a Trump-light figure, as a lot of people speculating he will? I think the resignations for Kim actually just gives an opportunity to reset Anglo-American relations. And one thing I like about Boris actually is that when he was foreign secretary, he banned the use of the term special relationship because he thought it made Britain sound needy. And I think that's true. I think we do sound like a kind of neurotic ex-wife when we keep banging on about special relationship.
Well,
and just you keep telling us that we're special because otherwise we don't feel special.
Never quite thought about it that way, but okay, I can see the point. But the other thing that's advantageous for Trump, it would seem, if they do have this relationship that you are hoping they do, is in advance of the 2020 election, they've got somebody who may be more publicly positive about Trump and give lie to some of the hysterics from the left, like Joe Biden suggesting if Trump gets reelected, that's the end of NATO. And it would not just be Trump saying how ridiculous that is, but perhaps somebody like the future prime minister of Britain saying the same.
Yes, I suppose the difficulty for Boris will be, again, the media monoculture is so powerful here that even though quite a few people are sympathetic to Trump, the only thing he'll get in relation to Trump is journalists asking him if he'll denounce the president for saying this or for saying that. So he'll have to tread a delicate balance between kind of praising Trump when he does something good and then not being seen to kind of join in with what a lot of people in Britain assume is a sort of racist position.
He is Freddie Gray. He's the deputy editor of The Spectator, spectator.us. You can check out his pieces on the Trump tweet controversy as well as the forthcoming prime ministership of Boris Johnson. Freddie, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Great pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
My name is David Hochberg. If you'd like to pay off debt, call Team Hochberg now about a cash-out refinance. During May, Team Hochberg helped listeners access $953,000 to pay off credit cards, student loans, car loans, medical bills, collections, and IRS tax liens, which saved them close to $19,000 a month. Since January, Team Hochberg has saved listeners over $74,000 a month, which is an annualized savings of over $888,000. What are you waiting for? Call Team Hochberg now to see if we can help you pay off debt and substantially reduce your monthly payments with a cash-out refinance. Think of all the things you could do with an extra $500, $1,000, or $1,500 a month that you'd be saving. Call Team Hochberg now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Oh, everyone's talking about balance of nature, and we want to thank Gary from Frankfurt who mailed in a letter to the Dan and Amy show about balance of nature. The reason why it works, well, because we're not getting enough fruits and veggies on our own. You're not getting enough fruits and veggies at all those summer barbecues you're going to, and your body needs fruits and vegetables. And when you take 6 capsules of Balance of Nature, you're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. It really is just that easy and convenient. And if you listen to the station, you've heard people talking about how Balance of Nature has changed their lives, and it can do the same for you. So start living a healthier life today by taking Balance of Nature. Experience the difference for yourself. And right now, get 25% off your first order of Balance of Nature. Plus, I love this, get a convenient travel bottle containing a free additional week's supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll still receive free shipping on every order. It's a limited offer and may end anytime, so call now, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Scoundrels are not exclusive to politics. They're smart enough to occupy necessity service industries like the automotive business. As a real estate broker, my car is a lifeline and a total necessity to my business and my family, which is why I had to seek out an honest, truthful auto service provider. For over the past decade, I've put my trust in Craigies Mobile Service Center on Lake Street in Addison. Craigies handles full auto repair on foreign and domestic vehicles. They pride themselves on providing you the best cost-effective auto repair and expert advice. Craigies has full service bays and truck lifts that can service and manage your whole fleet. They also provide priority service for your business and can track each vehicle, alerting you to the repair before you need it, keeping your guys on the road. Since 1959, Craigies Mobile Service Center has thrived through 10 presidential administrations, giving you reputable, dependable, and honest auto repair. Do yourself a favor. Just go into Craigies on Lake Street in Addison. See my guy Vic. He'll set you up. Tell him Sean from Elmwood Park sent you. I approve of this message.
If you're a healthy, self-employed small business owner with income too high to qualify for an Obamacare subsidy, I have good news. Recent regulatory changes have created new, lower-priced health insurance options that are available to you right now. These policies include a nationwide PPO with access to Chicago's teaching hospitals like University of Chicago, Northwestern, Rush, and Lurie Children's Hospital. Did you know that a self-employed husband and wife team can purchase group health insurance that covers pre-existing conditions, even if they have no employees? Are you nearing the age of 65 and trying to figure out the Medicare maze? Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 20-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for 7 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, Frank Robb, first pitch at Wrigley yesterday, key to the city today, I assume, before he has to respond to Gotham's bat signal for the 25,000 bees that infected Yankee Stadium yesterday.
I mean, this guy, it's unbelievable. He's an alligator wrangler from Florida, hired to come up here, Frank Robb. He was exhausted because at 1:30 in the morning, that's when he got the gator.
He was exhausted too, I'm sure. When it comes to alligators specifically, they got to be a bit of a team player. If they don't give you a little bit, then you're not going to ever catch one.
So they worked together to get him out of the lagoon.
Yeah, a little baby alligator caught by this Duck Dynasty-looking guy who, my follow-up question would be,
what?
Are you by any chance an incel?
Dan, that is so me. He got the 5'3" alligator who weighed about 30 to 40 pounds, and they had a little show and tell yesterday, and people were fawning all over him. Like, he's our new hero. Oh, we love you.
We are just so proud of Chicago for coming together for Chicago's care and concern. You know, this is the city of big shoulders, but it's also the city of big hearts, and especially big hearts for animals.
I mean...
Oh, so then he got to
this
do
is
something
all
every
so
Cub
silly.
fan wanted to do. Throw out the first pitch. They gave him a customized Cubs home jersey with his name on the back. He, threw the ball over the home plate. That was good. And then he got to meet all the superstars. And then this morning, he's turning on Buckingham Fountain. I think he's going to find himself a little lady here before it's all over.
I doubt that.
And a little
but
Chicago honey, a little squeeze muffin.
He's got to get back to finishing off that manifesto.
We
That he's
use
going to
that.
fire off to the Times at some point, I'm
But he has
sure,
a great-
ranting about technology, but okay.
Yeah, he's got a great resume. I mean, if you watch it on YouTube of all the
I
gators.
saw Ace Ventura. I get
Well,
it.
he does this on a daily basis. He must be thinking, what is all the fuss about this?
Well,
These guys
at
are
Wrigley
crazy.
Field, that may have quelled the controversies at Wrigley Field for a day, bringing everyone together around the gator grabber. But there's a problem at Wrigley Field, and it's been pointed out by no less than Barstool Sports. They came up with T-shirts, the guys over at Barstool Sports, come and get it. Not exactly Molon Lobby, but not in that sense, not in the Spartan sense, but in the beer snake sense.
Yeah, so the beer snake cup challenge.
Yeah, these beer, Cubs. You ever been to a Cubs game? You ever seen this? Guys pile up all the beers they drank, the empty cups, and then they drink from the top cup, and you have these beer snakes that are going across a couple of rows. Well, ushers are getting increasingly aggressive and taking them away.
Because they've been told to by their bosses.
And Barstool Sports is not having any of it. Eddie from Barstool Sports tells a harrowing tale of a conversation they had with a Wrigley Field security guard who posts at Barstool Sports under the pseudonym Ligma Ballsack.
All right, I can't call an emergency press conference due to my friend who's on island time. I hope he's having a nice vacation, so I'll call it an emergency news brief. So unless you live under a rock, you see what's going on at Wrigley Field. A lot of controversy over the cup snakes. The security team out there is not happy. They don't like you building the cups up, drinking out of them, whatever. So we posted a shirt, just kind of messing around, having some fun with it. And it said, come and take it, the fight against the Wrigley ushers, whatever. Turns out we have a Wrigley Field usher who is also a Barstool commenter. So the commenter who goes by the name of Ligma Ballsack, Ligma Ballsack,
yeah.
comments, hey, we're getting a bad rap. It's not us. It's the security team. It's not the ushers, whatever. So he said, hey, Ligma Ballsack, why don't you come on the show? Come on Chicago Dog Walk, defend yourself. So he said, sure, fine, whatever. So Ligma Ballsack comes in the office last week. He hops on the show. He explains what's going on. And I was just informed on Friday that Ligma Ballsack has lost his job.
Yeah, and here's the interview that cost him his job. This kid's from Park Ridge.
Yeah, so pretty much we have a meeting every single day before every home game. And one day they wanted to have
Distorting the voice of an usher who goes under Ligma Ballsack,
the
really?
security guys. And so they pretty much told us, like, Barstool's been doing this propaganda with their cup snakes. They're trying to sound all professional. I'm just sitting there like, this is gold. This is awesome.
Wait, so they think it's like propaganda?
Yeah.
So what do they think we're trying to do? There's no propaganda.
Yeah,
it's just a stone cold fact. People are building snakes, and you guys are taking them away.
That's facts. But they just think you're using publicity to make it more popular. Yeah,
Maybe
pretty
his
much.
voice isn't
Like,
being
you guys
distorted.
Are popularizing
Maybe that's
it,
just
they
his
cannot
voice.
Stand it. No, it's hilarious.
They distorted his voice to protect him, but because he goes by Ligma, they found out who he was, and he was fired.
Yeah.
So now there's like save Ligma,
Well,
find him a job, all that.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple of problems here, right? There's security that is being too aggressive with the beer cup
Yeah,
snakes.
let 'em have fun,
And there's
relax.
also hiring ushers who have internet handles like Ligma Ballsack. The Cubs have a lot of problems, not to mention the Brewers and the Pirates and the Cardinals.
Now let's go to the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott, who I'm sure has an appropriate Twitter handle, right?
I do, but I didn't know that Alan Stagg got resurrected from the dead. That was his voice, almost. Blue skies and sunshine. 75 degrees right now. Crews are cleaning up after an apartment building fire in Crystal Lake. Blaze began early this morning in the 500 block of Devonshire Lane. No word on injuries. There is a huge shakeup at Planned Parenthood. The group is kicking out their president. NBC reporter Kristen Welker has more on Dr. Lena Wen's response to the shakeup.
When tweeting, "I just learned that the board ended my employment at a secret meeting," and in a letter to employees adding, "The move comes amidst philosophical differences over the direction of the organization."
Wen says the board had decided to double down on abortion rights advocacy, tweeting yesterday she's leaving her position after less than 1 year on the job. The House condemning President Trump for what it calls racist attacks on 4 Democrat congresswomen. Yesterday's 240-187 vote, mostly along party lines. Talking with reporters at the White House yesterday, the president said the freshmen have said horrible things about the United States.
Terrible when people speak so badly about our country, when people speak so horribly.
Meantime, articles of impeachment against the president will be filed in the U.S. House of Representatives by Congressman Al Green of Texas.
Therefore, Donald John Trump, by causing such harm to the society of the United States, is unfit to be president and warrants impeachment, trial, and removal from office.
Still, a number of Democrats are resisting calls for the beginning of impeachment proceedings. Congressional hearing today will focus on Facebook's plans to create its own digital currency, Libra. Federal Reserve is worried about the potential for money laundering and privacy issues. Former U.S. Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens has died, third longest serving member of the High Court. Died from complications of a stroke he suffered Tuesday. He was 99. R. Kelly remains locked up while he awaits trial on federal sex crime charges here in Chicago and in Brooklyn. Man facing a citation following a crash on Chicago's west side that injured a police officer after a driver ran a stop sign near Lexington and Kedzie. Cubs over the Reds in 10, 4-3. Royals pound the White Sox 11-0. The news service of Discover Home Equity Loans. Make home improvements or consolidate debt with a home equity loan from Discover Bank. NMLS ID 684042. Save with 0 application fees, 0 appraisal fees, and 0 cash due at closing. Learn more and discover at discoverhomeequityloans.com. 7:35, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher reacts to the Democratic debate.
It was just a train wreck, and it was underwhelming, and it was boring, and it was weird, and it was pandering, and it was a battle to see who's going to offer more free stuff to the American people. There's a big picture takeaway here. There is nobody so far that emerges as somebody likely to stop the Donald Trump juggernaut.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Is your old AC a clunker? Does it clunk, leak, or make weird noises? Could be it's on its way out. Luckily, the highly trained techs at your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning will replace your AC with new top-tier equipment. And isn't that what you want to hear? Right now, get big savings on a complete cooling system. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Hey, Craig and Leslie here from In the Know. We know how important it is to take a partner in the passenger seat when you're on a long road trip. You need a trusted friend and a voice to help you navigate through the hills and valleys of your journey. We want to be that voice for you on your road to retirement.
Absolutely. Our whole team at Wealth Management Group will be by your side for the long haul.
Let Wealth Management Group be your compass and your guide to retirement.
Find us at investwithwmg.com and tune in each week to In the Know Sunday mornings at 10 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Balance of nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I love it. I'll take it for life. When I go in and I get all my checkups and everything and that, my numbers are just, they're through the roof. Good. It works well.
It is the most wonderful product I think I've ever taken.
The success of using this product has just been wonderful. I mean, it's so pleasant to take. It's so easy to use. There's just no downside to it. If a product like this is going to improve your life, then this is the best one out there.
Experience the difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week's supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You will still receive free shipping on every order. This is a limited offer and may end at any time. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
A lost dog, not a lost cause. Read Catching Murphy, the latest book from the Associated Press, available now exclusively at Amazon.com.
It is 7:38 AM 560 Traffic Center time, and here is Jim Telemonte.
West Side Central Avenue remains closed from the Eisenhower north to Harrison for major crash investigation. The Edens runs 23 minutes late. Cook to Montrose up on 22. Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown, we're looking at about 45 minutes. The outbound side is 48 minutes to O'Hare. Eisenhower 53 minutes, 390 to downtown. 39 from Mannheim, outbound 38 minutes to 390. Stevenson 57 minutes, 355 to the drive, outbound 46. Ryan 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford 41 minutes, 8094 to the merge. This crash at 130th. Tri-State southbound, it's low Atkinson to Deerfield Road. Northbound 111th to 47th, and from the Reagan to in Lawrence. And that's traffic. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Humid day ahead. A little warmer. Clouds and sun and a high of 91. Currently 75. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Experience the many restaurants of Seven Bridges on the evening of August 8th at the Golf Club in Woodridge, Illinois. Aside from great tastings and treats, Sample Seven Bridges will have prize drawings and DJ entertainment throughout the evening. Visit chambers630.com to register.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and their continued effort to deindustrialize the United States. Bolshevik Bernie and End of the World Spice introduced a joint resolution this week declaring the climate apocalypse is nigh, demanding a national, social, industrial, and economic mobilization of the resources and labor of the United States at a massive scale. I mean, of course, this is just symbolic. This is just blathering on like they did last night in condemning Trump. But nonetheless, it restates their view, however misguided. I mean, we've talked to Patrick Moore. We've talked to any number of climatologists and as well as economists in terms of what they're talking about doing to the energy sector here. I mean, there's so many people who have weighed in on this. One of my favorite riffs on the topic comes to us from Bill Gates. Not exactly conservative. No. This is from a few months back. He was talking a one-on-one interview at a conference, and he had this to say about those obsessing, those who talk green energy and obsessing about CO2 emissions, sounding not too dissimilar from former Greenpeace Greenpeace co-founder Patrick Moore.
And remember, electricity is 25% of greenhouse gas emissions. Whenever we came up with this term clean energy, I think it screwed up people's minds because now they don't understand. I was at this conference in New York, I won't name it, and they were saying all these financial guys got on stage and said, oh, we're going to rate companies in terms of their CO2 output. And we're going to say this company puts out a lot of CO2 and financial markets are magical and all of a sudden the CO2 will stop being emitted. And I was like, okay, how are you going to make steel? Do you guys on Wall Street, do you have something in your desks that makes steel? What? Where's the fertilizer, cement, plastic? Where's it going to come from? Do planes fly through the sky because of some number you put on a spreadsheet? So the madness of this so-called finance is the solution. I just don't get that. There is no substitute for how the industrial economy runs today.
For more on this topic and others, we're pleased to be joined again by Brian Westbury, who's the chief economist, First Trust Portfolios, economics editor for American Spectator and contributor to Fox Business, CNBC, Bloomberg TV, and also coming to us from what we found out, the world headquarters of exchange-traded funds, Wheaton, Illinois. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Good morning. Good morning, Amy.
I got to ask you, I talked about it with Scott Shalady last week when Amy was off. It's just that Wall Street Journal profile story on Wheaton and the concentration of ETFs there. And, as somebody that's in that space and in that location, how did you react to that? I was just fascinated to learn that Clayton Brown, who I used to caddy for growing up, was one of the forerunners that made Wheaton this international mecca.
Yeah, exactly. Interestingly enough, I worked for two firms that spun out of Clayton Brown in my career, or I have worked for two. I'm working for one of them right now. The first was a bond firm, Griffin, Cubic, Stevens, and Thompson. They, a few years ago, sold themselves to the Harris Bank. They were around for almost 30 years. And then also Nike, which became First Trust, and that's where I work now. The original founders of First Trust spun out of Clayton Brown as well. And so, and just about everyone that you are referring to, Bruce Bond, Dave Hooten, Ben Fulton, Jim Bowen, all of them kind of came from that background. It's really kind of fascinating. And how it all happened in Wheaton, Illinois, gosh, who knows? It's sort of like a Silicon Valley story. I guess when you find people that learn a lot about a specific type of product and work in a specific industry, oftentimes they live pretty close together.
Well,
because it's where smart people are.
Well,
from.
I think
Just say it.
I think it is an issue of the concentration of smart, accomplished Renaissance men. I mean, athletics, you had Red Grange.
Oh, okay.
Well,
can you dig deeper?
Broadcast.
And don't
forget
forget Billy Graham.
Billy Graham, right?
So
obviously,
there's a lot of blessings out here too.
That's right.
God Squad.
Broadcasting. You had Paul Harvey, who was a member of Chicago Golf. You had me.
Right.
So I mean, those
Who
two
was
names.
A caddy at Chicago
those two
Golf.
names often spoke of in the same sentence. Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. On a serious note, let's talk a little bit about the economy. There was an interesting piece. Op-ed in the Washington Examiner earlier in the week. It didn't get any play because we're too busy talking about the president's tweets, of course. But the United States-Mexico Canada trade agreement, which is still a pending matter, according to the U.S. International Trade Commission, it would create 176,000 new jobs, permanently increase the size of our economy by $68 billion, which is only about 0.4%, but it's still growth.
Right.
And they argue that's like giving every man and woman and child in America a $200 tax cut. So since the tax cuts and deregulation were stimulative, this seems like a good idea that the president should be pressing to pass.
Yeah, it is, and the Congress, unfortunately, is too focused on, I guess, the next presidential election and possibly impeachment to sort of take up any serious matters. It really is kind of fascinating to me. I mean, but it shouldn't really surprise us. I mean, Dan, Amy, everybody that's listening, we all know that Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and I know I'm changing the subject a little bit, but I'm going to make a point. We all know that in the long run, they're broke. And everybody in Washington gets the annual report from the people that run the trustees that oversee Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Every one of them knows that they're going to go broke, and yet they won't do anything about it. And so I put this in the same category, and that is we're going to play politics. We're not actually going to get anything done. And the NAFTA, which is what the new Mexico-Canadian trade agreement replaces, had gaping holes with energy. Now that the U.S. is the world's leading producer of oil and natural gas, that needed to be added to NAFTA. Technology has changed massively since NAFTA was passed. And all of these things have to be dealt with, and that's what the new Mexico-Canadian agreement does. Congress needs to get on it, but they have other things on their mind at the moment, and it's certainly not helping the U.S. economy.
And well, speaking of the economy, what about our tariff dispute with China? When do you think that will be
Yeah,
resolved, if ever?
I'm sorry, Amy. Here's the interesting thing. I mean, we all know that the tariffs and trade wars aren't good things, right? And basically we know this kind of because we know the history of the Great Depression. Back in 1930, Herbert Hoover signed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which many people believe led, or at least was one of the key causes of the Great Depression. But that was a 30% tariff on every good from every country imported into the United States. So what we did is we started a trade war with the world, and most countries came back and put tariffs on against the U.S. And what happened was trade collapsed globally. In this case, we're going after one specific country. We did go after Canada and Mexico, but we pulled those tariffs back. And it's time for China to grow up. They have lobbied and successfully lobbied to remain a less developed country, which allows them to keep their tariffs high, while the West has low tariffs. They also steal intellectual property. We all know that. And so what's fascinating is that this has to happen because China has taken advantage of the world by holding its tariffs high, exported its way to wealth. It now has a GDP close to the U.S.'s, and so it's time for China to grow up and become part of the global system and have much more free markets. And in the end, they're going to come to the table because they're losing. Dozens of companies have already announced that they're leaving China. Those supply chains will never go back. And so in the end, I think this will end up being a very positive thing, not just for the world and the United States, but also for China as well.
And
they need to lower their tariffs.
Right, and the news out this week that China has saw its slowest GDP growth last quarter since 1992, so they're feeling it as well.
Yes, exactly. I mean, so there's a method to President Trump's so-called madness. This isn't madness. This is actually forcing China, and we may never have another opportunity to do this. This is the time, and so putting pressure on China with tariffs and what's happening is if there's a 25% tariff on goods imported from China, U.S. companies will move that part of their production that they have used China for elsewhere. They're moving it to Vietnam. They're moving it to Taiwan. They're moving it to Mexico. They're bringing it back to the United States. And the whole reason is that otherwise their customers will end up having to eat that 25%. So they're moving those supply chains or that portion of the supply chain out of China. China's feeling it, and this is why I believe China will come to the table with the United States, with President Trump, and we see it in the negotiations. They're already moving. They're already cutting tariffs. They just have to figure out a way, which almost seems comical, figure out a way to stop stealing stuff.
Yeah, well, that's old habits die hard. Yeah. Let me ask you this though, including the China variable, what is your economic outlook over the next year leading up to the election?
Sure. Lots of people say, hey, China's slowing down, Europe is slowing down, and that means the U.S. will slow down. They catch the flu, we catch the cold, or vice versa. And but this, I think, has it backward. We cut corporate tax rates in the United States. We had the highest corporate tax rate in the world. We had a 40% combined federal, state, and local corporate tax rate. Germany has a 30% corporate tax rate. And now we're at 27. So we're now more competitive than Germany. And so at the margin, as we say in economics, not everybody was going to go to Germany because they had a lower tax rate. But at the margin, U.S. companies would go to other countries that had lower tax rates than the United States. Well, now they're not. And this is why Europe is slowing down. And so some people say, hey, Europe is slowing, that's going to cause the U.S. to slow down. That has it exactly backwards. The reason Europe is slowing, the reason China is slowing, is because we are putting pressure on with competitive tax rates and deregulation and tariffs on these countries, and the growth that they are losing, we are actually picking up. And so I know there's this whole belief out there that the U.S. is about to slip into a recession. I don't see it. I don't believe it. In fact, I think the slowdown in other countries is actually leading to faster growth in the United States. And we're seeing it. We've grown 3%. We grew 3% last year, which is 50% faster than any year under President Obama. And I believe we're going to grow about 3% again this year as well.
All right. He is Brian Westbury, Chief Economist, First Trust Portfolios, Economics Editor for the American Spectator, contributor to Fox Business, CNBC, Bloomberg TV. Brian, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate your insights.
Hey, Dan, Amy, thank you very much. Great to be with you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
We have to talk about it.
Nope, I don't wanna.
We have to.
No.
But we need life insurance.
I am not listening to you.
So you don't love me then?
What? Oh, fine. We need life insurance, but all the paperwork, it's such a pain.
Not with Ethos.
Ethos? Is that some kind of yoga thing?
No, Ethos is life insurance for people like us.
Like us?
People who don't have time for fine print, insurance jargon, and hidden fees.
Yeah, I pretty much hate all that stuff.
Of course you do. With Ethos, you can apply online, and there's a policy for every budget.
Really?
Yes. The online application only takes 10 minutes, and you'll be taking the first step in ensuring the kids and I'll be safe, even if something unexpected happens.
Ethos brings you choices that don't require an in-person meeting with an agent, and in most cases, there's no need for a doctor's appointment.
Feel better?
Yeah. I do.
Ethos, life insurance made simple. Apply online in just 10 minutes. Get a free instant quote now at ethoslife.com. That's ETHOS life.com. Ethoslife.com.
The life issue is once again at the forefront in America. And the reporting today, Planned Parenthood just sacked Leanna Wen, I think is her name.
Yeah, they were having secret meetings behind her back.
Arguments amongst the ghouls there. I'm sure they'll find a new ghoul to replace her. Well, some states are passing heartbeat bills to protect life, states like Illinois, rolling back restrictions. And that means now more than ever, women facing crisis pregnancies need options. That's what Heartbeat International provides. Heartbeat International runs an option line, toll-free, 24-hour-a-day phone line, staffed by consultants who are there to provide women with options for medical care and support, maternity homes, and adoption centers. All of those resources exist for one reason, to prevent abortion. That's what Heartbeat International is about. And every day, their option line receives more than 1,000 contacts. But there's a cost to keeping the option line running. It's $75 an hour. So right now we're asking you to partner with us and Heartbeat International to sponsor an hour of their option line for just $75. That's all it takes. Sponsor an hour for a gift of just $75. To do so, go to saveababynow.com. That's saveababynow.com. Or call 800-999-7408. Your gift of $75. Your gift of $75 could be what it takes for a woman to choose life. 800-999-7408 is the number. SaveABabyNow.com is the website.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I have been plagued with esophagus acid, and it burns the esophagus. I've had it for 30 years, and I've had doctors give me prescriptions for it and everything. I never got rid of it. I've been on the Balance of Nature for about 3.5, 4 months. It is completely gone. I didn't even notice it. It has to be the Balance of Nature because it's the only supplement I'm taking. And I just wanted you to know that because it's made a world of difference in my life. I just wanted to let you know.
Experience the difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You will still receive free shipping on every order. This is a limited offer and may end at any time. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Hey guys, Ken here from Income Store. Did you know of the top 10 reasons an employee stays at a company for more than 2 years? The 7th reason is the pay or the salary. The first 6 reasons have nothing to do with money. Things like they feel part of a team, they know they belong, their voice is heard, they're respected. Also, employees go through 5 phases within a couple days to 6 months of any new position. Excitement, education, reality, doubt, then clarity. Did you know it's a manager's job to walk them to clarity as fast as possible? If you need to know these fundamental principles, did I just say that? I'm going to leave that in. If you need to know these fundamental principles, I can't say this. This is awesome. This is like a blooper roll. Hey, you know what? If you need tips and techniques like this to grow your business today, you got to check out door number 1 of Income Store. If you just need somebody to literally hold your hand and get you to the finish line, check out door number 2 of incomestore.com. That's incomestore.com. Are you a company looking to grow your manufacturing team and hire new, exceptional candidates? Turn to Monarch Technical Services, leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. Monarch will recruit top talent for your company by verifying skill sets using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Their vetting process is the most unique in the industry due to having a former plant manager as their quality skills assessor. He knows who's who since he was involved in the day-to-day programming and operation of CNC equipment, along with managing the manufacturing process. Monarch takes pride in every candidate they represent. Their quality and customer service are the best in Chicagoland. If you're a business growing your manufacturing team and searching for exceptional candidates, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221 or visit them online at monarchtechnical.com. And if you're interested in starting a career in manufacturing or have experience, call 847-342-1221 or visit monarchtechnical.com.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Democrats vote to condemn the president. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I'm dealing with the biggest bully I've ever had to deal with in my lifetime.
That's Rashida Tlaib on CBS this morning. She's one of the 4 congresswomen President Trump tweeted over the weekend should go back to the countries where they came from. Words the House voted to condemn.
To defend the values of America.
But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi got in trouble for saying his words were racist. Republicans, led by Doug Collins, objected.
Calling him a racist on the floor of the House is not allowed by our rules.
Now, Pelosi was ruled out of order, but her words were not stricken from the record, and 4 Republicans joined Democrats supporting the resolution to condemn. Now, President Trump reacted in tweets, of course. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
That's right, President Trump reacting to the House resolution on Twitter, writing the Democrats in Congress are getting nothing done, not on drug pricing, not on immigration, not on infrastructure, not on nothing. So much opportunity, yet all they want to do is go fishing. He continued, the American people are tired of the never-ending witch hunt. They want results now. The president earlier quoting Louisiana Senator John Kennedy's views on the 4 freshman congresswomen, writing, this squad has moved the Democrat Party substantially left, and they are destroying the Democrat Party. Dave?
And John, the president will be out campaigning tonight with a rally in Greenville, North Carolina. He just tweeted he'll talk about people who love and hate our country. The justice who was on the Supreme Court longer than all but 2 others has died. John Paul Stevens was there for 35 years, considered a leading liberal on the court. President Obama praised Stevens when he retired at age 90 in 2010.
An independent mind, a record of excellence and integrity, a fierce dedication to the rule of law.
El Chapo is back in court this morning in New York City, where Joaquin Guzman will be sentenced. But there's no mystery to what he'll get in federal court for murder, conspiracy, and drug trafficking convictions. The punishment is mandatory life in prison. Prosecutors also want Guzman to pay his victims restitution. This is Fox News. Sunshine, 75 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Crews are cleaning up after a devastating apartment fire in Crystal Lake. Blaze began early this morning in the 500 block of
Devonshire Lane. Evacuations were underway early this morning. No word on any injuries. R. Kelly will remain locked up while he awaits trial on federal sex crime charges. The R&B singer's attorney, Steve Greenberg, was disappointed after the federal judge ordered him held without bond.
He's never missed a court date. He's never been late for a court date. He doesn't have a passport. He doesn't travel anywhere. He's absolutely not a flight risk.
Kelly has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Family and friends are mourning the passing of former U.S. Supreme Court Justice and Chicago native John Paul Stevens. He died yesterday at the age of 99 after suffering a stroke. University of Chicago graduate Stevens was a leading antitrust lawyer here in Chicago before his first appointment to a federal bench. He emerged as the Supreme Court's leading liberal despite calling himself a conservative until he retired in 2010. Kyle Schwarber's walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th gave the Cubs a 4-3 win over the Reds at Wrigley Field. Royals drubbed the White Sox in KC 11-0. The Blackhawks are shipping out scorer Artem Anisimov, team sending the forward to Ottawa in exchange for rugged forward Zach Smith. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Bank of America's spring quarter was stronger than forecast. The Charlotte-based bank made more money than a year ago. Higher interest rates have been helping banks because they can charge borrowers more while not significantly increasing what they pay to savers. PNC Financial also is reporting better than expected earnings. Amazon is being investigated by Europe's top antitrust enforcer, the European Commission. The Wall Street Journal says the probe is looking into Amazon's role as a marketplace for independent sellers. At the same time, it's offering its own competing products. Amazon says it will cooperate fully with the EC. Sprint says hackers access subscriber information through a Samsung website. ZDNet says the breach exposed phone numbers, billing addresses, and other account information. Sprint didn't reveal how many accounts were hacked. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:04. Business is a service of Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
That's what this radio show is. I tell you what I think, period.
The Joe Walsh Show.
And then you call in and you tell me what you think. And we don't have to fight with each other. We don't have to hurl insults at each other. We'll agree sometimes. We'll disagree sometimes. Big deal. To me, that makes for the most interesting radio. I'm going to tell you what I think, honestly. And I want you to do the same.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5, right before Larry Elder at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wow, we've been doing a lot of roofs.
And we're ready to do yours. This is Mark Olson.
And Greg Olson from Crumweedy. Okay, say it. If your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy. Remember that when you need repair or when you need a new roof.
It's so important to choose your roofing company wisely.
Here's our pitch.
Installation. It's the ball game.
We follow the manufacturer's specifications, so your warranty is totally intact. Most roofing companies don't do that.
When we give you a quote, we give you good, better, and best options. You decide.
And we're not going anywhere.
We're a third-generation family business. 65 years of doing great roofs.
We run the company on good, conservative values.
For any roofing problem or need, call your roofing guys, Crumweedy.
Do we have any special offers? Sure. Just ask. We'll take care of you.
Get all the info at myroofisneedy.com.
When your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy. 630-595-8020. 630-595-8020.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
8:07 AM 560 traffic center time. And here is Jim Telemonte.
Eastbound I-80 traffic is slow from Richards to 30. Westbound 355 to Cherry Hill. Northbound Veterans Memorial traffic snarled. I-55 to Roosevelt. Army Trail to 290. Your southbound 53 delays are from Rand Kirchhoff. Tri-State southbound bumper to bumper 120 to Deerfield Road. Northbound Cicero to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. On Reagan Tollway delays are from the Fox River to Naperville Road and 83 to Roosevelt. Kennedy, 50 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Eisenhower, 390, it's 53 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 24 minutes from 95th. Bishopwood, 35 minutes, 8094 to the Verge. That's traffic. I am Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist Steve Williams.
Humid, warmer times of clouds and sun today, high 91. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Strong thunderstorm tonight, low 75. A shower thunderstorm early tomorrow morning and an excessive heat watch by the afternoon, the high 98. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
75 at O'Hare. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Retire Chicago. Tune in Saturday mornings at 8 to Retire Chicago with John McNamara of McNamara Capital.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I'm just watching as all of our local news stations obsess about the gator grabber. And it literally was like a grab. I use lures bigger than that to fly fish.
Frank, Robb.
What they used to catch that gator in that lagoon.
It was a 3-prong, like a heavier fly fish type of apparatus that dragged him. And now he's a hero. And guess what? Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer, or whatever he is, he's going to dress up as Frank Robb for Halloween. And his little son, he's going to dress up as a gator because that's about the size of the gator.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty good. I don't know if it's going to keep till Halloween, but in this hick town, probably will.
We're not a hick town. This is
You're
just
obsessing about a baby gator in a lagoon. This is a week's worth of wall-to-wall coverage.
It's funny.
Press conference, BBM News takes live.
They did. They took a portion of it live. I thought something serious was happening.
Total hick
And then
town.
he gets to throw out the first pitch at Wrigley with a Cubs jersey with his name on back. And then this morning he's going to turn on the Buckingham Fountain.
Yeah.
And then they're going to give him the key to the city.
Yeah, and then he can rejoin ZZ Top. Great. All right, very good.
And by the way, in case people want to know, you, young man, are wearing 2 different shoes this morning.
Apropos of nothing. Well, I'm wearing 2 of the same.
You're wearing.
It's the same brand of shoes, but I have one from a more updated pair and one from a previous pair. But it's the same shoe. It's the same brand of shoe.
It's the same brand of shoe, but one's old and ratty-tat-tatty, and the other one's new.
Yeah.
I'm going to tweet it out.
Same make and model.
I'm a
hillbilly.
What is wrong with you? You're as much hickey as this.
Well, I know. I'm a hillbilly. I live in a hick town. I'm a hillbilly, too.
Yeah. Come again now. Come on.
All right. On this show, we try to tackle more important issues than baby gators in lagoons or my shoe selections. Things like free speech. We talked about this case when it happened, the brutal assault of Andy Ngo, who's a journalist for Quillette.com in Portland. And this is Andy Ngo on Tucker a day or two after the event, after he had recovered. I mean, he was seriously beaten. Brain hemorrhage, beaten by Antifa on the streets of Portland. Here's Andy Ngo describing what happened.
On Saturday, documenting this protest that was organized by Antifa and its allies, we were a literal stone's throw away from Portland's most important institutions of the rule of law, the courthouses, the sheriff's office, the central police precinct, while hearing people chant no hate, no fear. I'm suddenly bashed on the back of my head from behind. And from there, I'm a very passive person. I've never been in a fight. It took me a few seconds to realize that I was actually even hitting my head. When I realized what was happening, it was too late. A mob of people, all dressed in black and wearing masks, started beating me with their fists, and some of them used objects to hit me. I don't know how many people were involved. It seemed like 5, 10, 15, or 20. It could have been that many. They beat me so much that I lost control of my GoPro camera that I was holding, which was then stolen from me. And when I thought it was over, I was wrong. I put my arms up to try to shield my face, as well as to signal to them that I was surrendering and that I wasn't there to fight. But that really signaled to them to be more aggressive. So then they started dumping what I believe were milkshakes and eggs, throwing it at my face, which blinded me so I couldn't see. And I was kicked some more, punched some more. And all this time I kept thinking, where are the police? I could still see the Multnomah County Justice Center in front of me, but no police ever arrived. I eventually stumbled away, bleeding, across the park, and I lost my balance, so I sat down on the ground in front of the courthouse. And from there, a medic SWAT team informed me that in order to get an ambulance to be taken to a hospital, I would have to walk to the police precinct. In other words, walk back in the direction of the demonstrators who just attacked me. Later that night, after arriving in the emergency room, I had a CT scan, which confirmed that I was diagnosed with a brain hemorrhage.
And
anybody arrested still for that? Because I've been checking.
I have not heard.
Boo.
Yeah, the black masked thugs, leftist thugs that they are, the fascists who call themselves anti-fascists. Everything is redefined in modern day. And the key phrase in terms of what he said that tells you a lot about what you need to know about the Marxist left. He suggested that he surrendered, essentially. I'm not here to fight. And they found that provocative. They found him being peaceful, him surrendering, him not putting up a fight was provocative to beat him more. And so we talked in the 6 o'clock hour about Dennis Prager's testimony before Congress yesterday, before Senate subcommittee on big tech censoring conservative views, elimination of dissent. And Prager referenced Martin Niemöller's famous formulation about Nazi Germany when it came to the elimination of dissent that begot the elimination of dissenters. And so this is another example of the elimination of dissent. It can be done surreptitiously on social media by the big tech companies, and it can be done in the streets, too, by thugs who are given license by local politicians. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Gabriel Nadalis, who is a former member of Antifa, and now, has he seen the light, a regional field coordinator for the Leadership Institute. Gabriel, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Are you surprised by what you saw on the streets of Portland with Andy Ngo and the other violence that is being committed and promoted by Antifa?
It doesn't surprise me one bit. What we're seeing now, what happened to Andy Ngo, is just the latest of attacks by Antifa. And just recently, over the weekend, we had another attack where a member of Antifa went over and he tried bombing an ICE building in, I believe, in Spokane, Washington. And this is just getting worse and worse as the days go on. And the longer we don't take Antifa as a serious threat that they truly are, the worse it's going to get.
Well, why did you join Antifa, and then why did you leave?
So I joined Antifa when I was 16, almost 10 years ago. And the reason I joined was because I legitimately thought I was going to be able to make a difference. I mean, as you guys mentioned, Antifa, it sounds like you're anti-fascist. So you go there thinking you're going to fight fascists. The problem with Antifa, though, is that anybody that they disagree with is a fascist in their mind. And that could be a journalist who's just trying to report the truth like Andy. Or it could be somebody like an American who supports American values of liberty and freedom. That's a fascist to Antifa. And it's really problematic because innocent people are getting hurt.
So what were the ice cream socials like where you'd get together and talk about what you were planning and so on and so forth? I mean, what were the discussions like internally?
Well, that's one of the big points about Antifa, that it's not actually an organization. A lot of people think it's this overarching organization that talks to each other, but Antifa is made up of a bunch of small little groups that work independently from one another. Whenever there's a call to action via social media or flyers on the street, they're all kind of supposed to come together. And it can vary from workers' unions like the International Workers of the World or the local grocery store unions to more college-based groups like at UC Berkeley, for example, they had By Any Means Necessary, which is a group that started a few decades ago. And most recently, one of the things that they did in 2017, they created a riot which cost California taxpayers over $100,000.
Right.
Yeah,
So on that though, so there's no roll call, anti-organizational, monthly meetings. So it's just missives that are sent out to groups that are sympathetic, and then whatever member of SEIU wants to, get all dressed up in their battle gear, and whatever member of the International Socialist Workers Group wants to get dressed up. It's just enough drawn from enough fellow travelers that you get a mob to organize.
Exactly. That's a very good way to put it. There are certain groups that are well established in a community that are organizing these protests. For example, in Portland, they have a group called Rose City Antifa, and they are really dangerous. But as a whole, it tends to be anybody who thinks that they want to be part of it at the moment. They don't really have meetings or anything like that, which is exactly why they're so dangerous. I said this a couple of times before, that I'm pretty certain that not everyone who attacked Andy knew who he was. Probably the first couple of people knew who he was, and then after they just kept piling on, attacking somebody. They had no clue who he was.
And what happens after something like that, whether that's the riot at Berkeley to stop a speaker on campus they don't want to speak, or it's beating up a journalist, then what happens? I mean, do you have people say, well, what the hell are we doing? Why were you guys beating up that kid or whatever?
Well, from some of the experience I had, one of the first things that we would do after a protest or anything we were involved in, we would go home and try to figure out if there was any news articles about it, see if there was actually any sympathetic things on our side. There were some other groups that went beyond that. I remember one of the first protests I went to, they were taking pictures of the cars of the counter-protesters or the protesters we were protesting, taking pictures because you're going to be using this information to dox them. And so, I mean, it doesn't just stop there. You mentioned that it's about silence and dissent, or like that Andy was trying to surrender and they didn't give him that. Antifa doesn't just want surrender. They want complete destruction and annihilation of anyone who they disagree with.
I mean, are they even surprised, or you, about how much power police give them? I mean, Dan keeps telling the story about one time Antifa was directing traffic.
Yeah.
In the middle, was it Seattle or
Portland? In Portland.
Yeah. I mean, why do they have so much power?
It's really interesting, and it's a complete difference of when I used to be in it, which is back in 2010 and 11. Back then, they were separating us. They would kind of be like, there would be a police line separating the different groups. And I've been seeing this as a regional field coordinator for the Leadership Institute. Just every time I go, when there's Antifa, they just let them mix among each other, and it's dangerous. And I think it's in part because there's a lot of college administrators and politicians who are spineless, and they refuse to hold Antifa accountable because it's benefiting the leftist cause, the liberal cause.
And what do we know about who is behind Antifa in terms of funding them, or who's actually trying to provide advice and counsel, direct them in any way? Here's somebody you should talk to help organize your mob, so on and so forth.
So here's the interesting thing about the difference when I used to be in it and now. I feel like it's far more organized now. At the time when I was in it, again, a long time ago, it was just more of a call to action. So a lot of the things we were paying out of pocket, whatever we needed to buy, we just kind of took it. However, I've been noticing that there's a lot of organizations that are actually legal groups to defend people who are prosecuted for the criminal offenses, and there's even professors who will encourage people to donate to these organizations.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because I read in your article, which is fascinating, that professors are in on this. And did one in particular encourage you?
No, actually, I joined Antifa before I was even in college.
Oh, that's right.
I was in high school when all this happened. And
you have
at the time,
but you have that book. You have the Antifa like guide from Bray, that Yale professor,
Dartmouth.
right?
He's from Dartmouth.
Dartmouth, yeah, Dartmouth.
Yeah, he published it in 2016, and it's called Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, and it basically encourages violence. It talks about how Antifa should be fighting anyone they disagree with, and the worst part is that a significant portion of the book that everybody who buys it is donated to a legal fund to help Antifa get away with what they're doing.
That's remarkable. Well, maybe the good professor is a place to start too, and holding him to account for his role in underwriting. So. I mean, you've had people call for Attorney General Barr to get involved and treat Antifa like a domestic terrorist organization. Do you agree with that sort of federal law enforcement involvement?
I honestly think it's unnecessary, because I think we have the laws on the books already to prosecute them. What I think we need to start going is after politicians who refuse to hold people accountable. I'm actually very happy from a story at UT Austin. At the Leadership Institute's campus reform, we reported a story about an Antifa-affiliated group that threatened to dox students who wanted to be part of Turning Point USA or Young Conservative of Texas. Well, at first they weren't doing anything, but after the media coverage that they got, the administration decided, you know what, I think we need to defend our students. So they contacted the Attorney General, I believe the Attorney General for Texas, and they were asking of what they can do for legal remedies. I think we have the laws necessary to hold Antifa accountable and to hold professors accountable, but we have to put pressure on people to actually enforce those laws.
Political will problem, as it often is, yes. Gabriel Nadales, Regional Field Coordinator for the Leadership Institute and former Antifa member. Thanks so much for joining us and providing your insights on that thuggish organization. Appreciate it, Gabriel.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of your #1 home mortgage company, Townstone Financial. Want to close your loan quickly? Want to work with a company with the newest technologies in the mortgage business and get all this with great rates and low closing costs? Then look no further. The answer is Townstone.com. What else does Townstone currently have? How about the low interest rate Home Ready program and Home Possible for home purchases that come with free appraisals? We are also obtaining appraisal waivers on many types of refinances and purchases for conventional loans, which will save you over $450 in closing costs. Don't want to find your bank statements or pay stubs? Well, with our new technology, we can obtain these in many cases without you lifting a finger. Remember, it doesn't matter if you're searching for a jumbo mortgage, FHA, VA, or even a reverse mortgage. I guarantee no one is going to beat Townstone's interest rates and low closing costs, and I own the company. So give us a call now at 312-896-2110, because nobody values your home purchase and refinance business more than Townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, NMLS 136639, www.nmlsconsumerAccess.org, equal housing lender.
I was just watching Frank Robb turning on the fountain at the Buckingham Fountain.
Yeah.
Now I
Do you have something to say, Dan?
No, I feel a little bit bad about making fun of him. Not totally. I mean,
I think he might have a back brace on or something, or maybe scoliosis.
He does.
Or something.
He's very upright.
Well,
yeah.
ramrod. He's standing ramrod.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not his fault that we're a hick town and we had to bring somebody from Florida to catch a little gator. We got freaking 8 million people in the metropolitan area, and nobody can catch a little gator in a lagoon. It's absurd. So I should be blaming Frank Robb. He seems like a pleasant guy. Now, you wear a beard like that, and you're going to get made fun of. So I don't take that back.
But that's part of the thing. He can, relate to the gators maybe more. Is that
Sure. Okay.
Hey, does your basement or crawl space smell like, a basement, musty, odor-ridden? Do you know that the natural airflow in your home originates below ground and works its way up into your living environment? You and your family are breathing that unhealthy air even when you're upstairs. So that's why you should give our friends over at Permaseal a call today, 800-421-SEAL, to schedule a free inspection with one of their certified consultants. They'll conduct a thorough inspection of your basement, crawl space, and provide you with proven solutions that, bless you, that will help prevent mold spores and allergens from affecting your family. Dan has mold spores. Help! Maybe get the alligator guy in here. For the past 40 years, over 400,000 Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana homeowners have trusted Permaseal to provide permanent solutions to their musty basement or crawl space issues. And that's how they've earned an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. Stop breathing that unhealthy air. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net. Be sure to ask your consultant about the PermaDry dehumidification, words are hard today, and air filtration system. That's 800-421-7325, or go to permaseal.net. Permaseal, known best for being better.
Is your old AC a clunker? Does it clunk, leak, or make weird noises? Could be it's on its way out. Luckily, the highly trained techs at your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning will replace your AC with new top-tier equipment. And isn't that what you want to hear? Right now, get big savings on a complete cooling system. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
It's probably been about 10 years ago. I had quite a few credit cards, and it was just getting to be too much, so I called Trinity.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
They met with me, and they were able to get all of my credit cards in one lower payment. Now we're doing a lot better.
If your debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been holding off on buying vitamins because I figure, you know what, all the vitamins I need are going to be in the fruits and vegetable supplements. I'm not going to bore you to tears with recanting all my health issues and what have you, but I will tell you this, there's already improvement, and it's a really amazing transition. It's really nice to get hooked up with an organization of people that understand where real health comes from. This will make a great commercial, I'm telling you. Yeah.
Experience the difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You will still receive free shipping on every order. This is a limited offer and may end at any time. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, I got another job for Frank Robb. He needs to get back to Florida after he stops in New York to deal with the 25,000 bees at Yankee Stadium. One Florida man is in jail after deputies in Bell, Florida, said he used scissors to cut off the penis of his wife's lover.
Okay.
So, how
do you fight back?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, Frank Robb needs to wrangle that penis back for this guy to get it,
reattached.
to get it back.
So he got Lorena bobbited, right?
Well, yeah.
He got bobbited.
Yeah. Huh?
Why don't you guys? I don't understand. Why don't you guys bleed out when that happens to you? Can you? I mean,
I suppose you could if it took long enough. I don't know. I think the punishment is that you live without the unit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll leave a mark. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to try a high-minded discussion, in contrast to this one, with a philosophy professor from Dickinson College, Crispin Sartwell, talk about the Frankfurt School and cultural Marxism and the assault on Western philosophy at 8:38. You want to stay tuned for that.
And we'll be leaving you today with another edition of Why Dan Proft is Single. What to do when Wisconsin's Dairy Queen turned murderer gets out of prison. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Sunshine, 75 degrees. Crews continue cleaning up after an apartment building fire in Crystal Lake. Blaze broke out early this morning. 500 block of Devonshire Lane did considerable damage. No word on injuries. Housing starts are down. Commerce Department saying housing starts were off nationally for a second straight month in June. House passes a resolution condemning President Trump's attacks on 4 minority Democrat women.
How shameful to hear him continue to defend those offensive words that we have all heard him repeat, not only about our members, but about countless others.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Police in Washington, D.C. arrested 11 for entering Immigration and Customs Enforcement headquarters. Protesters taking to the streets yesterday, rallying against ICE and recent arrests of immigrant families. Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, sentenced in New York federal court this morning. The 62-year-old faces life in prison. There may be a 2020 Republican challenger to President Trump. Former South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford saying he'll take the next month to decide if he wants to run for president as a Republican, saying he would use the run to push for solving America's mounting debt problem. R. Kelly will remain locked up while he awaits trial on federal sex crime charges. Chicago's Inspector General says probes by the city's newly formed police oversight agency were compromised by an investigator who had relatives and friends, all police officers, under investigation. In a report released yesterday, Inspector General Joe Ferguson said a COPA investigator he did not identify conducted improper searches and improperly accessed records between December of 2017 and January of 2019. Cubs 4-3 winners over the Reds in 10 innings, while the Royals pounded the White Sox 11-0. The news service of Accountants. Do you need accounting and finance professionals to help for the duration of your long-term or recurring projects? Turn to their salary professional service for exclusive access to their hard-to-find talent. Visit Accountants.com. Accountants, a Robert Half company. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher has had enough.
I am so sick of these un-American miscreants who hate this country so much that they want to strip every symbol of our nation's beginnings, its foundings, its origins. And you know what? We can push back too. We can push back with truth, with logic. I am fed up.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Amanda Zanger, owner of Black Industrial and Safety Supply in Hammond, Indiana, and a business customer of Signature Bank. Prior to owning my own business, I worked for a major financial institution. So when it came time to finance the acquisition of Black, I approached a big bank, only to receive a solid no. That's when Signature Bank stepped in. With Signature Bank, the process was different. Signature provided creative financing options that enabled me to purchase Black and continue to grow the business. Thanks to Signature Bank, Black Industrial is able to continue serving Fortune 500 industry fabricators and contractors with tools and safety supplies as we have since 1893.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I've been holding off on buying vitamins because I figure, you know what? All the vitamins I need are going to be in the fruits and vegetable supplements. I'm not going to bore you to tears with recanting all my health issues and what have you, but I will tell you this. There's already improvement, and it's a really amazing transition. It's really nice to get hooked up with an organization of people that understand where real health comes from. This will make a great commercial, I'm telling you. Now.
Experience the difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You will still receive free shipping on every order. This is a limited offer and may end at any time. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
A lost dog, not a lost cause. Read Catching Murphy, the latest book from the Associated Press, available now exclusively at Amazon.com.
It is 8:36 in the AM 560 Traffic Center. Here is Jim Telemonte.
Tri-State southbound traffic's jammed. 120 to Deerfield Road with ongoing construction. The northbound Tri-State delays are from Cicero to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. But Adams Tollway's a little tight now. Beverly to Bartlett Road. Reagan Tollway delays are from the Fox River to Naperville Road and 83 to Roosevelt. Northbound Veterans Memorial from I-55 to Roosevelt and Army Trail to 290. Southbound 53 delay is Rand to Kirchhoff. Edens, 19 minutes like Cook to Montrose. Kennedy, 42 minutes O'Hare to downtown. No savings in the Express. Eisenhower, 1 hour, 390 to downtown. 40 minutes from Manheim. Stevenson, 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 24 minutes, 95th to downtown. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From our 1 hour heating and air conditioning weather center, humid, warmer times of clouds and sun, and a high of 91. Currently 75. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. And going to talk to Professor Crispin Sartwell from Dickinson College momentarily, but amid all of this back and forth between the Socialist Spice Girls and the president and the advance of cultural Marxism on campus, I often use the phrase sentimental barbarians or sophisticated barbarians, and people want me to define what that means. Let me give you an example and then maybe work back to explanation. Christian doctor in the UK sacked after saying he couldn't refer to any 6-foot-tall bearded man as a madam. Dr. David Makareth told a panel that using transgender pronouns was a ritual denial of an obvious truth. He's Christian. He's taken his dismissal to an employment tribunal in the UK. Good luck with that. Alan Josephson, distinguished psychiatrist who since 2003 has transformed the Division of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and Psychology at the University of Louisville from a struggling department to a nationally acclaimed program. In the fall of 2017, he appeared on a panel at the Heritage Foundation, shared his professional opinion on the medicalization of gender-confused youth, meaning he's opposed to 8-year-olds deciding that it's time for gender reassignment surgery or hormone treatment. The university responded by demoting him and then effectively firing him. Josephson's reaction to this is not dissimilar to what we've heard from a lot of academics we've spoken to who don't believe that it could happen to me when they run afoul of Marxist orthodoxy on campus. In this case, Josephson was speaking as a medical professional, not in any way as affiliated with University of Louisville. Hardly matters. He says, shortly after the speech he gave at Heritage, I became clear that only a few of my faculty were upset with some of the things that I had said. That a few of his faculty were. Within a few short weeks, I was removed from my position, my leadership position, then subjected to fairly hostile work environment situations, finally informed my contract would not be renewed. He describes how he processed the ordeal. It is at various phases. The first phase was, this just can't be happening to me. I was very successful and very well liked. I built my division up from a few people to probably 15, and we had a clinic of almost 30. I was banned from faculty meetings. I was banned from certain kinds of interactions with staff and told that I could not, what I could and could not say to people. And this was a place I built. And then the stress of one's personal relationships. My family worried about me. Friends worried about me. It's probably 6 months before I felt comfortable and was sleeping again. You know, the personal stress is pretty enormous, but then I decided to do something. And part of the do something is he is fighting back in court. He's filed a complaint in the district court in Kentucky. What are we to make of the continued elimination of dissent and dissenters? Not in the concentration camp sense yet, but certainly professionally. And are these examples, and there are many others like him, as we all know, and we've discussed every incident, so that it's not just some general statement that some conservative is making. It's not just imagining this is happening because I disagree with the campus orthodoxy. It's individual cases with real names that are real people with real details. Tell me this: the examples of the Josephsons of the world are not a message sent throughout the ecosystem about what you can and can't say, what you can and can't think. Research you can and can't do. The research in this topic area of transgenderism as a social contagion among youth that was done by a professional academic at Brown University, squashed. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by the aforesaid Crispin Sartwell, Associate Professor of Philosophy at Dickinson College. Hopefully we won't get him into any trouble. And author of Entanglements, A System of Philosophy. Crispin, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
So what?
Again. Good to see you.
So what about these cases like Professor Josephson at Louisville? How do you process them?
Yeah, well, I think it's an unbelievably acute problem right now. I mean, some version of it happened to me. Some version of it has happened to a number of people I know. Whether it is, actual deletion or firing or demotion or just unbelievable ostracization. It's as you say, it's in the ecosystem, and a few of these firings is plenty to shut most people up, actually. I mean, and I think about it all the time as I write or as I speak to someone like you, Ben, and if I just say a wrong sentence, I'm not sure what might happen to me professionally, and I guess I need health insurance, you know what I mean? I'm nearing retirement. I have to think about like the practical details. But yes, I think it's really reached a acute phase.
Well,
Can you remind us what happened to you?
I believe it or not, I'm restricted in what I can say about this. You can Google it or you may have previously, but I was marched off campus for posting a country music video on my blog. Time to Get a Gun by Miranda Lambert, which was construed as a threat. But I'm like I say, I can't really discuss the situation. I can discuss other people's situations.
So we're starting to lose you there for a second. You just said you can't discuss this situation, but I'm sorry. What was the last part?
I can discuss other people's situations.
Okay, no problem. Let's talk a little bit about philosophers, and I know you've got a piece about some of the Western philosophers, but I want to talk about the Frankfurt School and Herbert Marcuse and William Reich.
Yes.
And this from Marcuse, who is really sort of one of the intellectual godfathers of the modern cultural Marxist movement, even if they don't know it, would seem to me. He talks about liberating tolerance that might seem apparently undemocratic, using repression and indoctrination to advance the agenda of a subversive majority. In other words, the ends justify the means, and in order to get to a tolerant place, we're going to have to be a little bit intolerant, a little bit repressive as the means to tolerance.
Yes.
It seems like an oxymoron, but that's what we're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's classic Marxism, right? Is that we're going to have to impose totalitarianism to achieve, liberation in the long run. And it's just I guess it's like an obviously nonsensical argument. I just don't think you're going to end up in a place of tolerance by practicing extreme intolerance. That does seem to be pretty, central to the whole Marxist conceptual structure in that case. Yeah.
And totalitarianism is the right word because it's all walks of life. It is all aspects of society. I just want to read something from Marcuse. The withdrawal of toleration of speech and assembly from groups and movements which promote aggressive policies, armament, chauvinism, discrimination on the grounds of race and religion, or which oppose the extension of public services, Social Security, Medicare. Moreover, the restoration of freedom, though may necessitate new rigid restrictions on teachings and practices in the educational institutions, and so on and so forth. Every aspect of life, which is now what you have seen, and why so many of our civic and cultural institutions have lost so much legitimacy among so many.
Yes, indeed. And it's just a really sad situation. And one thing to think about, I'm sure you've talked about this, is the mechanisms that are constructed to control expression in all these respects in academia and elsewhere. They can be turned on a dime against the leftists who put them in place. I mean, and they should really understand this, because Donald Trump is president of the United States. And if he wants to start wielding speech restrictions, he's going to be wielding them against the very people who are endorsing them right now. So I just think that, you got to think more carefully about what structures of authority you're recognizing, whether it's on a campus or, in a nation, really.
Yeah,
because they can be turned to various ideological purposes.
Well, you mentioned Trump, but don't you think Google and the big tech companies, they're filtering out speech? They're not letting certain videos go on. I mean, look at Prager and Dennis Prager yesterday, who testified yesterday.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, but looking at it from another angle, what are they doing with the government of China? And what kind of speech repression is the government of China engaged in? Thorough, all the time, with regard to everyone. And Google actually is liable to fit into that pretty comfortably if they want to. They can, and they are restricting speech even in the United States. But they can enter into the larger political structures of censorship, or the larger political structures of censorship can make use of those companies to really control the political discourse, considering how broadly these companies extend into all of our communications.
Yeah, but the interesting thing, going back to what you said about how this could be turned on them, if Trump used repressive tactics, if he tried to curtail people's First Amendment rights by executive authority, he would lose people who are otherwise inclined to be supportive, like me. But on the other side, if the repressive tactics that are being applied at universities and corporate boardrooms elsewhere are championed by the politicians of the left and the op-ed writers of the left, with very few exceptions. That seems to me the difference and the real danger.
Yes, I agree. And like I say, they just should be aware that these mechanisms and structures of restriction can be turned on them, very quickly. And it's liable to happen, I think. Who knows? I should just say, like I seemed to indicate a second ago, that I was a Trump supporter, which is not true.
No,
but anyway,
I got you. What did you think of Ayaan Hirsi Ali's piece this week about Ilhan Omar, since they're both of Somali descent? Ilhan Omar.
I guess I didn't see it.
Okay, well, here's what Ayaan Hirsi Ali had to say, and fortunately for her, she's not an academic, so she is allowed to say this. Apparently, she talks about.
She's someone I admire.
Yeah, she talks about her experience as somebody who was. And somebody who's been persecuted for her views in Africa as well as in the West. She writes, in my experience, it's difficult to get rid of the anti-Semitism on which you were weaned. To unlearn hate without coming to terms how you learn the hate is what she writes. Most Americans are familiar with the classic Western flavors of anti-Semitism, the Christian, European, white supremacist, communist types. But little attention has been paid to the special case of Muslim anti-Semitism. It's a pity, because today it's anti-Semitism's most zealous, most potent, and most underestimated form. And she describes sort of the circumstances in which she was raised in Somalia.
Yeah.
And so I just want to get your perspective on that, but more broadly, having to go to sort of the cultural roots of some toxic ideologies to sort of acknowledge the history, so you can help people unlearn toxic ideas.
Yes, and I mean, I'm kind of an equal opportunity in this because I do think Trump's tweets over the last few days have been extremely problematic on similar grounds. Forms of intolerance or forms of just condemning people on the largely on the basis of their immigration status or whatever it may be. But I do think it's worth coming out a little bit and thinking about, and that's what Hirsi Ali is doing. It's like the whole cultural context in which these things emerge. Like if you're Ilhan Omar, you may not have carefully reflected until people started reacting so severely to some of the things you were taught as a child or whatever. So yes, it's worth looking at the histories or even the deep conceptual structures informing this. Like I think that's that's one reason it's worthwhile to look at the Frankfurt School, for example, and figuring out contemporary, a lot of what's going on, say, contemporary campus politics. And they've been directly influential there, actually. Like, those figures are huge on campus. Adorno and Horkheimer and stuff like this. Like, that's why I think the term cultural Marxism it's not a perfect term for all the stuff that's happening on campus. But it resonates because it really, a lot of campus leftism is informed directly by Frankfurt School Marxism.
Yeah, and it also highlights the utility of studying philosophy. You don't have to major, you don't have to become a professor in it, but understand that where ideas, the origins of some of these ideas, the idea that just showed up 5 minutes ago and now everybody believes it. This has been generations of work handed down from one gang of thugs to the next, and whether everybody knows it now today, what William Reich was writing about in 1920s is immaterial. It's understanding the trajectory of these ideas.
I don't know how thuggish they really were. I mean, if you think about thugs, you don't usually think about like the spectacled, professors, teaching at UCLA or whatever. But,
well, how about ideas that animate thugs? How about that?
Yeah, there you go. And so I had this piece in the Los Angeles Review of Books, Philosophical Salon, about like the roots of white supremacism in Western philosophy. Now that probably makes me sound pretty leftist or pretty PC, and I guess what I want to say about that is I'm neither on the left nor on the right, or I'm both on the left and on the right, but I feel like I'm consistent actually. But yeah, I did like this piece kind of tracing racism to some of the basic conceptual structures of Western philosophy.
Right.
I guess in that case, I might even be agreeing with some of the Frankfurt School stuff, actually. But
I'm
picking my spots.
I did read the piece, and it's worth checking out, particularly if you're interested in the origins of ideas, metaphysics in particular. But we'll have to save our discussion of Descartes and Kant and others for another time. He is Crispin Sartwell, Associate Professor of Philosophy at Dickinson College, author of Entanglements, A System of Philosophy. Crispin, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hey guys, Ken here from Income Store. Did you know of the top 10 reasons an employee stays at a company for more than 2 years? The 7th reason is the pay or the salary. The first 6 reasons have nothing to do with money. Things like they feel part of a team, they know they belong, their voice is heard, they're respected. Also, employees go through 5 phases within a couple days to 6 months of any new position. Excitement, education, reality, doubt, then clarity. Did you know it's a manager's job to walk them to clarity as fast as possible? If you need to know these fundamental principles, did I just say that? I'm going to leave that in. If you need to know these fundamental principles, I can't say this. This is awesome. This is like a blooper roll. Hey, you know what? If you need tips and techniques like this to grow your business today, you got to check out door number 1 of Income Store. If you just need somebody to literally hold your hand and get you to the finish line, check out door number 2 of IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
Summer is the perfect time to replace your old, drafty, worn-out windows with beautiful new Energy Star windows from WindowWorks. And now it's easier than ever before during Dollar Days. When you buy 2 new windows, you get the third window for just $1. Buy 4, get 2 more windows for just $1. And when you buy 6 new windows, you get 3 more for just $1. And choose low monthly payments or 1-year interest-free financing. You're gonna love your new windows from WindowWorks. And remember, when you buy 2 new windows, you get the third window for just $1. Call the company your neighbors trust with over 100 5-star Google reviews in the month of June. Call 800-808-1330.